Prologue. Konoha was being attacked by the QB. Most of the village was in flames. The civilians ran to take shelter while the ninjas tried to stop the giant fox, but it was useless. The QB let out roars while swinging, its 9 tails destroying the houses located around it. When everything seemed lost, Senju Minato, great-grandson of the powerful Hashirama and the Yondaime Hokage, appeared. The Yondaime Hokage was very bewildered upon seeing the enormous fox out of control. At that moment, he noticed the QB with the Sharingan in its eyes. Minato, after tracking a strange chakra, came across a masked man, supposedly Uchiha Madara, or as he preferred to be called, Tobi. After a taijutsu fight, the blonde managed to hit him with the Rasengan, spiraling sphere or spiritual sphere, the blonde using the Hiraishin no Jutsu, flying thunder god technique. After marking him when he was hit by the Rasengan, with a series of hand signs, Minato freed the QB from the control it had. After being freed, the QB offered to be sealed inside Minato's son, the blonde. Prepared everything, and before sealing the fox, he looked at it fixedly. Kurama, old friend, I ask you to take care of my son. Guide him down a good path. He turned around to begin with the Fuin seal. Kushina, who was with the blonde baby, looked at him sadly before speaking. Eat well, grow well, have friends. Not many, only those who are true. Do not drink until 21. Be kind to women. Be brave. Also be careful with Jiraiya-sensei, that old pervert, but above all be happy. After finishing speaking, Kushina shed a few tears over the baby and said goodbye. The blonde sealed the enormous fox inside his son, but while saving his village he died. Alongside his wife Uchiha Kushina, daughter of Uchiha Madara, neither knew the true heritage of the other. Both kept it secret, Kushina using the surname of her mother Uzumaki, and Minato proclaiming himself to be Namikaze. Thus, the years passed, the village was rebuilt, and life continued, little by little. People forgot the incident of the beast, while a small blue-eyed boy grew up like a normal child, or so it seemed. In an orphanage in Konoha, which since the QB attack had an increase in the children living in the building, in this orphanage lived a somewhat singular little boy and protagonist of this story. The little boy was never treated well in that place. He always got the leftovers of the food. His room was the oldest in the orphanage and completely gray due to lack of paint, full of cracks in the wall, dark stains, constant leaks, a couple of old furniture pieces with signs of mold due to humidity, and an old futon with stains of different colors, patched and torn. But he did not care much. He was aware that he had a place where he could sleep and eat, for which he was thankful from the heart. At 3 years old, the little blonde, with the mentality of a 6-year-old child, or perhaps older, began to notice the oddities in his way of living and that of the other children: dirty and torn clothes, no roommates, no toys, loneliness were some of the many things that differentiated him from the other children in the orphanage. The little blonde from time to time heard a deep voice in his head that encouraged him and asked him not to worry, that everything would turn out fine. At first the voice was completely terrifying and unknown to the child, but over time, he began to have pleasant conversations with the voice. The voice began to sound in his head 1 year ago on October 10th. It taught him to speak, read, and write with difficulty in the process. It also talked to the child about life, what the world he lived in was like, and told him stories about important people in history with the intention of distracting the blonde from his current life. Time continued passing. The days and months went by until reaching a certain special day. It was around 9 in the morning. The child slept peacefully in his bed. "Good morning, Naruto," said the voice in his head. "Go." "Good morning, sir," said the blue-eyed boy, rubbing his eyes while trying to get up. "Naruto, I have already told you to call me by my name," said in the deep voice. "I am sorry, Mr. Kurama," said the child with time both had formed a strong bond between them, although the little one had not been able to ever see the face of his first friend. He could not doubt that their friendship would last forever. Thanks to that bond, the blonde increasingly knew more about the Nine Tails, such as his role in history or his identity. Today is a special day, Naruto. Do you know why? Asked the fox. MMM. Today is the day of your festival, said the little one, sure he would get the correct answer. No, today is the day you came into the world, Naruto. Every time that day arrives, it is called a birthday, in which they celebrate the birthday person, which would be you, explained the redhead. I do not understand it very well. What is it that makes it so special? Asked the child. On this day a person has a birthday, so now you would have for years since being born. Besides, humans normally celebrate it by giving a gift to the celebrated person, and mine is very special, said the considerate monster. Suddenly, while the child was sitting on his futon looking at the wall, it disappeared, leaving everything in darkness without the blonde being able to see even his nose. Kurama, what is happening? Asked the child. Confused and afraid. I will show you my true form, said the fox. Kurama, where are you? Where? The blonde almost shouted from joy, turning toward all sides since he had never seen him, and now he found himself in complete darkness. Here, said the deep voice, making the blue-eyed boy turn when a flash completely blinded him. After a few seconds, the blonde slowly opened his eyes to get used to the light. He was surprised to see a sewer with rusty pipes on the walls, water at his feet, and in front of him an enormous cage with a seal in the center of it. Naruto began to approach the enormous cage, where he could start to distinguish an enormous silhouette behind the bars, until he completely distinguished a huge fox sitting while swaying its nine tails. Welcome, Naruto, said the enormous fox with a smile. Kurama? The child asked to make sure. The nine tails only confirmed with his head. You look amazing. Just look at yourself. You are so big, powerful, and with a noticeably silky fur to be hugged. The blonde's last comment made a sweat drop anime style appear on the QB. Mr. Kurama? Asked the blue-eyed boy shyly. Yes, Naruto. He responded with a smile. Could you be my friend? Mentioned the child with a smile. Weren't we already friends? Said the Nine Tails with curiosity. Upon hearing it, the blonde jumped in excitement with tears in his eyes. Thank you, Kurama. Thank you very much. After finishing, he wiped away his tears. The fox smiled at him. Remember, Naruto, I will always be your friend, but from now on we must think of training for you. I was thinking about, but before the Nine Tails could continue, they were interrupted by the owner of the orphanage. Get up. The owner almost shouted while speaking. The little child opened his eyes suddenly from fright. What is happening? Naruto asked shyly. You are leaving here right now, said the woman while grabbing the blonde's arm, guiding him toward the door. Why? Asked the blonde, frightened and confused. We do not have enough money to keep you here, and I cannot stand you here anymore, said the owner with bitter words while throwing him into the street while the child fell to the ground, getting covered in dirt. I do not want to see you here again, demon, the wrinkled woman shouted at him while slamming the orphanage doors. Naruto got up crying. He could not believe they had thrown him out of his only home. He walked and walked until he found a quiet alley where he sat down and took a breath to calm himself. Pup, I am sorry they threw you out of your home because of me, said the enormous fox with sadness in his words. Why would it be your fault, Kurama? Said the child while wiping his eyes. Naruto, I have to tell you something. Since you have been expelled from the orphanage, you must know your heritage. The QB paused before continuing. Have you heard about the Yondaime Hokage? Naruto nodded his head. Well, he was your father. Pup, the fox turned to look at a corner of the sewer before continuing. Your mother was Kushina, known as the Bloody Habanero. The fox turned to look at his face to notice a nostalgic smile. But between the two of them, they had secrets, said the QB slowly. But all that in due time, pup, said the redhead, smiling at the blue-eyed boy. Naruto only stayed quiet for a few seconds, until he looked up. The fox, upon looking into his eyes, noticed that it was not sadness that was in them. Rather, it was hope, willpower, and conviction. "Kurama," said the little blonde, getting Kurama's attention, "please help me become strong, to become Hokage, to become someone people respect just like my father." The fox, with a smile between his teeth, of course. Naruto trained every day. Kurama started with his physical conditioning. Since he was still too small to begin chakra control, he would need one more year before he could begin. Naruto lived in cardboard boxes he found in the streets. Sadly, the child had to steal in order to survive. Thanks to this, he always got into trouble. He was chased by villagers, by Genins or Chunins, but he was capable of getting out of tight situations without his face being completely revealed. Any person who went through this would be completely depressed, but the blonde always tried to see the positive side, together with his companion. From time to time, some people chased him for no apparent reason. A certain amount of people, really small, knew the truth about the QB sealed inside the child, so he received a few unexpected blows. The little blonde never held resentment toward them, since the QB told him that they were blinded by hatred and sadness from having lost family members and friends 4 years ago. Thus, a month passed. Naruto was sitting inside a cardboard box. While it rained, the little blue-eyed boy talked with Kurama about how well he was doing in his physical condition, and that in a year he could begin with his chakra control. In the middle of a conversation between the blonde and the nine tails, there appeared a man standing under the rain, looking toward Naruto. "They found me, and now what do I do?" thought Naruto, with faint shyness, trying to analyze the situation and come up with a way to escape. He calmed down when he heard the voice of an elderly man. "Naruto, come with me. You can catch a cold." The blue-eyed boy looked at the man fixedly, and upon seeing that it was the Sandaime Hokage, he lunged toward him, giving him a hug with tears that quickly blended with the rain. Upon arriving at the Sandaime's office, he asked the little child to take a seat. "Naruto, why were you out on the street at this time of the night?" asked the Sandaime seriously. "I was expelled from the orphanage." Hokage-sama, Naruto pronounced with hidden sadness between his words. "This morning?" The Sandaime spoke again with a noticeable tone of displeasure. "No." Hokage-sama, Naruto lowered his gaze slowly. "It was a month ago." When the blonde raised his gaze, he could see the Sandaime with a furious look toward him, but not even a second passed before that face turned serious and then continued. "Naruto, why, if you were expelled from the orphanage, did you not tell me?" the old man asked with sadness hidden between the words. "Because Hokage-sama has more important things to do. Besides, I thought that you would also hate me because of the QB." The little child shed a tear before noticing the Hokage with a look of astonishment. "How does he know about the QB?" the Sandaime quickly thought before speaking. Naruto, the white-haired man, looked at him with intrigue. "How do you know about the QB?" He observed him for only a few seconds before the little one responded. "Kurama told me everything about the day I was born and about my parents." Naruto looked at him with a confused face. "Kurama, could that be the QB's name?" thought the Sandaime before continuing. "Naruto, could you tell me how long you have known the QB?" said the Sandaime with curiosity and nervousness. "What does Kurama think? Do you think I can tell him?" asked the blue-eyed boy. "Yes," the fox responded. The little blonde began to tell his story, since he met his friend, how he was thrown out of the orphanage, and about his training, up to the moment he was found by the Sandaime. After finishing his story, the Sandaime stood up from his chair, leaned on his knee in front of Naruto, and gave him a hug. "Naruto, from now on you can consider me part of your family. You will have all my trust, and if you need anything, whether for your training or problems, you can come to me." The old man ended the hug, and then watched as Naruto shed a couple of tears. Before the Hokage continued, "From now on you will have an apartment where you can sleep, and you will be given a pension so that you no longer have to steal food, and can get new clothes. The old man stood up while slowly walking toward the window that showed a view of the village under the ring. From now on, everything will be better, Naruto. This is your first step toward your dream, said the Sandaime while turning to look at Naruto to observe him nodding his head high. Here is Inson. Chapter 1. A New View. The next morning, after Naruto stayed at old Sarutobi's house to rest, they headed to Naruto's new home. After a few minutes of walking through the village, they arrived at some apartments where our little blonde would live. Upon entering, the Sandaime turned to look at the blue-eyed boy. What do you think, Naruto? It is not too big so that you can clean it quickly, and not too small either. The old man turned to look at Naruto, who had crystal-clear eyes from happiness and emotion at having a home after a month living on the streets. Thank you. Here is Inson. The blonde ran off to inspect his new home more thoroughly. After saying goodbye a few minutes earlier, the blue-eyed boy was at training Field 44, better known as the Forest of Death, training his taijutsu. The blonde had already begun to create his own fighting style since he was Genin level in taijutsu. They would be fast and flexible attacks, but he would try to compensate for damage strength by adding a natural affinity to his fighting style. He also practiced kenjutsu with an equally Genin level. After a couple of hours of training, the little child decided to go to his new apartment to cook the new recipe the Hokage taught him, but Naruto decided to go through the forest to think a little about his training method. Once he started his chakra control training, that will be a challenge for you, pup. A deep voice interrupted the blonde's thoughts. Your amounts of chakra are almost similar to those of a Hokage, so you will have to make an effort, the voice said, somewhat amused, while the little child made a small pout. Come on, pup, do not get discouraged. Look, I will tell you a story. The fox made a small pause before continuing. A long time ago, in a forest similar to this one, a little girl was seen walking. While the enormous fox continued telling the story, the little blue-eyed boy began to become more and more nervous until he heard a small branch break. The blonde ran away, terrified, with a couple of small tears in his eyes from fear. While the little blonde ran through the forest, the enormous fox mocked him for carrying out his objective. When suddenly Naruto crashed into a boy, causing both to fall to the ground. The blonde quickly got up to see a girl with pearl-colored eyes, dark blue hair, and short hair, shedding small tears while being surrounded by about 4 children. The blue-eyed boy instantly recognized that she was being bullied. Leave her alone, said the blonde, putting on a serious face toward the 4 children still standing. What are you going to do about it, said a child with a mocking voice. The little blonde quickly got into a fighting stance. All the children lunged toward the blue-eyed boy, throwing random punches. Naruto quickly dodged them, giving a few blows strong enough to leave a small bruise. All the children ran away with tears in their eyes. The thank you, said the pearly girl with a little nervousness and admiration in her eyes. No problem. My name is Uzumaki. Naruto, nice to meet you, said the blue-eyed boy, holding out his hand, waiting to be shaken. And I am Hyuga Hinata, and nice to meet you, she said while shaking hands with her savior. Not even a second passed before they were interrupted by another. Hyuga Hinata-sama, please do not go off like this again, he said between pants. Do not worry, Naruto is with me. Before finishing, she turned to see that the little blonde who saved her from the children who were bothering her was no longer there. Is something wrong, Hinata-sama? Asked the other Hyuga. The blue-haired girl nodded her head. In that case, let us return, Hinata-sama. After both Hyuga left, the blue-eyed boy came down from the tree where he had hidden. Why did you hide, pup? Asked the redhead. If they saw me with her, I could have had problems for being with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. You are right. We cannot cause problems for what seems to be the heir of the Hyuga clan, said the deep voice in his head. Naruto continued toward his house. 1 year later, Naruto had already begun his chakra control and also started collecting various scrolls with the help of the Sandaime. The blonde had affinity to fire, lightning, and wind, This fact only made the little blonde even more excited and caused him to double his effort in his chakra control. Just as the QB told him, Naruto found it almost impossible to control his chakra. Kurama, why can I not notice an improvement in my chakra control? Asked the child with a bit of sadness. Did I not warn you, pup? Your reserves are quite large, and every day they grow a little more, so your chakra control leaves much to be desired. If you continue training every day, in a couple of years you will have chakra control comparable to that of a Jonin, said the fox, encouraging the blue-eyed boy. He only nodded his head to continue training his chakra control. About 3 months later, Naruto had just bathed and dressed to go out for his training. Naruto, today you are no longer going to do the same chakra training you have done for the last 4 months, a deep voice told him, stopping him at the door. You are already ready for more complicated training. The blue-eyed boy ran out of his apartment with excitement upon hearing Kurama's news. He ran through the village toward the Hokage Tower. Flashback. Naruto, come to the Hokage Tower tomorrow. I have some new scrolls you were looking for, said the Sandaime with a smile. Hi, Hiruzen answered the blonde before leaving the room. End of flashback. While Naruto ran through the village, some people from time to time looked at him with cold eyes. The blonde did not give it much importance, but the closer he got to the Hokage Tower, the more the stares increased among murmurs. The blonde arrived at the Hokage Tower only to once again encounter the secretary with cold eyes, who looked at him as always. But as always, he did not take them into account, and then entered to see the Sandaime behind the enormous doors. Oh, heyo, Hiruzen, said the blue-eyed boy with excitement in his eyes. Oh, ho, Naruto, look. These are the scrolls I got for you, answered the Hokage, taking out about 5 scrolls from his desk. The first is Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the second is Raiton, lightning element, the third Futon, wind element, the fourth and fifth are Fuinjutsu scrolls, he said, placing them one by one in front of the blonde. Thank you, Hiruzen, said the little one euphorically. Naruto headed toward the door when he was interrupted. Naruto, said the old man to get the blue-eyed boy's attention. This is from your grandfather, mentioned the Hokage, while giving him a small wink. What is a grandfather? He asked, making an anime-style sweat drop appear on the Sandaime. It is Minato's father. Your father? That is what he is called, the white-haired man mentioned, trying to explain it to the little child. In the blonde's apartment 1 hour after his meeting with the Sandaime Hokage, he was studying and practicing the first scroll the Hokage gave him. He had already managed to summon one in perfect condition, so he asked for help to begin studying the other scrolls. At first, it was difficult for him to understand Fuinjutsu, but as the hours passed, it became easier for the little blue-eyed boy, since the use of Fuinjutsu comes from both of his parents. 3 hours later, Naruto went out to begin his new chakra control training. Naruto, this training is to climb a tree without using your hands. The fox finished to notice the little one's face with a small frown. For this, you must apply a certain amount of chakra to the sole of your foot. If you apply a small amount, you will fall, and if you overdo it, you will break the bark and also fall. Every time you are going to fall, use a kunai to mark how far you got, and try to surpass the mark until you are capable of staying standing without creating. After finishing, the fox heard a loud hi. Thus, the months passed. To be exact, 5. Naruto was already capable of performing Katan no Jutsu ranks such as Gokaku no Jutsu, Great Fireball, Hozenka no Jutsu, Phoenix Flames, and Ryuka no Jutsu, Dragon Fire. Also Futon no Jutsu. Ranks such as Shibino Kamaitashi, Wind Scythe, Daitapa, Great Breakthrough, Kazakiri, Wind Cutter, and Dai Kamaitashi, Great Wind Scythe. Along with Raiton no Jutsu rank D and C such as Raikyu, Lightning Ball, Kaminari, Ro, Thunder Prison, and Sanda Saburu, Thunder Saber. Just like with elemental jutsus, he quickly learned Fuinjutsu and was already capable of understanding every small detail of any seal, just as he began to create one based on the eyes of the Hyuga. The purpose was to give a vision. Similar to the Byakugan, but he still lacked more information, the time when he did not train. He went to the library with a henge no jutsu transformation technique to be able to enter, since if he did not go with the henge they threw him out of the place calling him a demon. Naruto decided after breakfast to go to the park with Nara Shikamaru and Akimichi Choji, some friends he had recently made near the park. Naruto, upon arriving at the park, found Choji and Shikamaru playing tag, so he joined them so they could play ninjas. After a few hours of playing in the park, the respective parents of each one arrived for them to return home. The blue-eyed boy, after seeing how his friends walked away with their parents, decided to leave as well to continue his research in the library about the Byakugan. While passing by a lake, he noticed a small child with black hair, the same color as his eyes, pale skin, dressed in a black high-collar shirt and long sleeves, black shorts, and blue ninja sandals, who was sitting on a small boat dock located at a lake. Upon seeing the small child sitting alone by the lake, the blonde became a little curious. So he went down to where he was. "Hello," said the blue-eyed boy to get the black-haired child's attention. He only turned to look at him with innocent eyes. "Hello," answered the little one with nervousness. "Apparently you are an Uchiha," said the blonde, observing on the back of his shirt a white and red fan that gave him away. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke," mentioned the black-eyed boy with a bit more confidence. "I am Uzumaki Naruto. Nice to meet you," answered the blonde with a smile between his teeth. Before continuing, "What are you doing here alone?" said the blue-eyed boy while sitting beside the Uchiha. "I like watching the sunset from here," answered the black-haired boy with a smile. "Would you like to play?" asked the blonde with excitement in his eyes. "What?" he asked. "Ninjas," replied the blonde again with more enthusiasm. "How do you play?" asked the black-haired boy, somewhat nervous. "Well, since only the two of us are here, I will chase you, and when I catch you it will be your turn to catch me," explained the blonde to the Uchiha, who nodded to confirm. The pair of children played chase for an hour until they became completely exhausted from running so much until they fell on the grass by the lake. "You are fast," said the blonde, complimenting the Uchiha. "Between pants, you too," answered the black-eyed boy with even heavier breathing. A few minutes after resting, they began to talk about their families. The more the Uchiha talked about his family, the sadder the blonde became. Thus the hours passed until nightfall, so the blonde decided to accompany the blonde to his house. After that they said goodbye, and the blonde left toward his own. Another 3 months passed quickly in training, study, and playing with his friends, until one of his favorite days arrived. After dressing in his blue ninja sandals, loose black ninja pants with an orange stripe on the left side, a white shirt with the orange Konoha symbol in front, an open black hoodie with short sleeves, and an orange stripe on the left side, and on the back a red swirl of the Uzumaki clan. After breakfast, he went out to train his chakra control. "Pup," the deep voice spoke to get the child's attention. "Today, we will not go to training Field 44. We will go to the lake where you met the Uchiha." Upon finishing, Naruto nodded his head to change his direction toward the lake. Upon arriving at the lake, the Kyuubi began to speak. "Today, you will learn to walk on water, Naruto," said the fox with a smile between his teeth. The little blue-eyed boy stayed thinking for a moment until he spoke. "Are you feeling all right, Kurama?" "I think today you are not completely well," said the child, making the enormous fox angry. "What a lack of faith. You have ungrateful child," said the fox, scolding the little one. "Can it really be done?" said the blonde, beginning to get excited. "Of course, pup," said the redhead before continuing. "Do you remember what is needed to climb a tree without hands?" He paused to see the blonde nodding his head. "This is very similar, but instead of only maintaining chakra to climb the tree, you maintain a constant flow. This helps you have better control in jutsus that require chakra flow." After practicing for a while, he managed to remain standing on the water to the point of being able to. "Very good, pup. Now you can both walk and run on water, but it will take you time." To be able to use it in a real battle, said the QB encouraging. The child, Naruto, walked to the shore to sit at the boat dock. You finished just in time, pup. It is already sunset, mentioned Kurama after. The blonde sat down, a few minutes later when the sun turned completely orange and he listened to the birds fluttering, he heard a deep voice. Happy birthday, Naruto, said the fox. Thank you, Kurama, answered the child in peace, but it did not last long when he felt a familiar chakra approaching stealthily to surprise him. Happy birthday, Naruto, said a small Uchiha jumping beside the blonde while bringing him a small box that apparently was a gift. What is this? Said the blue-eyed boy, a little confused. It is a gift, answered the black-eyed boy. Naruto quickly smiled with excitement to open it quickly. Careful not to tear the wrapping paper. Awesome, said the blonde upon seeing a medallion with the Uchiha symbol on the front and his name engraved on the back. Thank you very much, Sasuke, said the blue-eyed boy, very excited. The two little children headed to their respective homes, while Naruto walked through the empty streets. Since all or most of the village was occupied, he found a fox mask lying near an alley, so he picked it up and continued on his way. Upon arriving at his apartment, he began working on his new seal. He had prepared so much in order to have a vision similar to that of the Hyuga. After 1 hour of preparing the seal, he began bird, boar, monkey, ox, tiger, snake, rat, Shiroi no Mio Mipusuru. Seal of the white eyes, said Naruto while all the seals were dragged toward Naruto's eyes, and in a bright glow the seal finished. The blonde quickly got up to the bathroom to see his eyes that changed to white eyes. The little child became excited by his achievement, but it did not last long. When his eyes returned to their original color, leaving no trace of the previous pearl-colored eyes, the blonde became disappointed by his failure, so he went to sleep. The next day, while a little blonde slept, a very thin ray of very daring sunlight passed through a small opening between a curtain, giving the little child light in the eyes, making him wake up. The little one got up to begin the day, taking a bath before starting with his daily training, but he was surprised when looking at himself in the mirror. Instead of sky blue eyes, he noticed blood-red eyes. It did not take even a second before he let out a scream to the skies, then began bombarding his companion with questions. What is happening to me, Kurama? Is it because of making the seal? Will I die? I know you told me not to do it. Be you before the blonde could finish, the fox interrupted him. Naruto, he said, to get the blue-eyed boy's attention. Calm down, he said, pausing before continuing. You have awakened the Sharingan. Congratulations, said the QB with a smile between his teeth. How? Asked the child, astonished. Your mother was not only the daughter of an Uzumaki, her father was a very recognized Uchiha in history, the strongest, and a headache, said the fox with a tone of fury in his words. Uchiha? Said the child thoughtfully. Your grandfather is Madara Uchiha, the fox said, annoyed by a noticeable hatred toward him, but I heard he died against the Shodai Hokage. Mentioned the little one with strangeness. Everyone believes that, but your grandfather survived, taking refuge in a village near Konoha where he met your grandmother. After a few years, he had a daughter who was called Kushina, and because of the desire to protect her, they named her with her mother's surname, finished the QB, leaving the little blonde astonished. Kurama, what abilities do these eyes have? Asked the blue-eyed boy, somewhat excited. As you can notice, you can see with greater clarity. You are capable of capturing even the smallest detail. You can notice that you have different chakra flames of different colors with which you can know the chakra nature of your opponent. It grants you a photographic memory to be capable of copying jutsus, and as you can see, you awakened it in its final form with 3. Tomo finished, the QB speaking before the blonde spoke. Do you not know anything about seeing the chakra network? Asked the blonde. No, pup. With the Sharingan, it is impossible, answered the fox before being surprised. But I can see it, replied the blue-eyed boy before noticing how his eyes little by little turned blue, but still with the Tomo intact. What happened? Asked the child, surprised by the sudden color change in his eyes. Pup, apparently your seal worked, but it attached to the Sharingan. When you increase a little the chakra flow in your eyes while you have the Sharingan active, it is capable of seeing the chakra network in 360 degrees, but apparently you do not have a blind spot. Besides, this caused the Sharingan to lose the red color, leaving the original tone. The fox paused before continuing. Naruto, to deactivate the Sharingan, you only need to decrease the chakra flow toward the eyes. Naruto followed the Kyuubi's advice, while the chakra flow decreased. It could once again be seen how his eyes turned pearl-colored, followed by veins that swelled at the side of each eye. Amazing! Shouted the blonde, echoing around him. I did it. I did it. My seal was a success, he shouted with excitement noticeably in his eyes. Now I cannot wait to try my two eyes. But what a shame that the Sharingan turned blue and did not remain red, said the blonde before going out to train to be capable of using his new eyes. Chapter 2. The End of a Clan. 2 years have passed since Naruto obtained his new eyes. At first, the blonde found the Byakugan complicated because of the 360 degrees, but he quickly adapted to the vision, and with the Sharingan he had no problem. It seemed as if since childhood he had those eyes. The blue-eyed boy's taijutsu level was that of a Chunin, almost Jounin, with two new styles. The first is Aozora no Ryu, Blue Sky Dragon, based on the speed, agility, strength of a dragon and the stupor of a clear blue sky. The second is based on Jukin, Gentle Fist, the precision and speed of attacks on chakra points, but combined with the strength of Aozora no Ryu, calling it Yawarakai Ryu no Ken, Gentle Dragon Fist. Just like in taijutsu, Naruto reached Chunin level bordering Jounin level in Kenjutsu. In addition, he learned different rank B and a jutsus. Last year, Naruto obtained a small hobby that Kurama suggested so that he could keep his strength hidden enough. Nobody in the village except the Sandame, Irika Yumino, and a few villagers. Flashback scene. Naruto said a deep voice before continuing, now that you have become stronger than a normal child your age, you must be careful. You never know when someone becomes interested in you. You must make your strength appear weak enough so that nobody bothers you, said the fox with a serious voice. All right, Kurama, but what do you recommend? Asked the blue-eyed boy. How about acting troublesome, a mask of an uninterested, annoying, and problematic person, answered the Kyuubi. All right, then let us begin, said the blonde excitedly. End of flashback. It was already daytime, and like almost every day, a small ray of light hit the blonde, causing him to wake up. Good morning, pup, said the deep voice. Good morning, Kurama, answered Naruto with a yawn. Tomorrow is the day, only one more day, and the academy will start, said Naruto, getting up and heading to the bathroom. Naruto had become every woman's dream. He measured 4.70 feet, a bit tall. For his age, he had a defined abdomen with muscles marked on every part of his body. After bathing, Naruto dressed in blue ninja sandals, a black long-sleeve shirt. On top, an orange short-sleeve hoodie with a black stripe on the zipper that remained open, with a Konoha symbol on the left shoulder and an Uzumaki clan swirl on the other shoulder. Some black pants that ended halfway down the leg where a bandage began that reached the ankles. The blonde left his house after breakfast to begin with his little hobby. He passed unnoticed among the houses with a few paint buckets. After arriving at the Hokage monument before beginning his trick, the blue-eyed boy turned to look at the Yandame Hokage, asking him to forgive him for what he was about to do. Naruto opened the paint bucket and began drawing different things on the Hokage's heads. It did not take long before he noticed a few chakra signatures heading toward him. I am ready, he murmured before 3 figures appeared in front of the blonde. You again, Naruto, said a shinobi. Damn, said the blue-eyed boy, pretending to be surprised. He picked up the paint bucket and ran away while laughing, showing his amusement. Meanwhile, in the Hokage tower, Hokage-sama, said a shinobi, somewhat distressed. What is happening? Answered the old man. We have problems, answered the ninja. What is it, Naruto again? Meanwhile, with the blonde, Naruto continued jumping from one side to another, preventing the ninjas from reaching him. After a few more meters of pursuit, the blonde lost them from sight after hiding under a wooden patterned cloth, blending in with a fence. The blonde removed the cloth and decided to go for a walk in the village before going to train his chakra control. While the blonde walked through the village, he again noticed a few stares from 2 to 4 people every 10 minutes. With cold eyes, the blonde closed his eyes to sigh when he crashed into something and then heard a small feminine scream in front of him. Upon opening his eyes, he noticed a girl with pearl-colored eyes lying on the ground. The blonde did not think twice before offering to help her up. I am sorry, I was not paying attention to where I was walking, said the child while checking that she was not hurt. Do not worry, answered the blue-haired girl with a low voice. The blue-eyed boy stared at her for a few seconds, making her nervous, when suddenly he spoke. Now I remember. You are the girl from before, said the blonde, startling her by speaking suddenly. The pearly girl stayed thinking for a few seconds until she remembered that time she was rescued by a blonde boy when she was being bullied by other children. If I remember correctly, your name is Hyuga Hinata, right? Said the blue-eyed child. Hi, answered the girl shyly. It was nice to see you again, Hinata, mentioned the blonde, making the girl blush with his smile. Well, see you later, said the blonde, resuming his path, raising his hand to say goodbye. The blue-eyed boy, after walking a bit more, arrived at the lake where he first met Sasuke. The child removed his clothes to avoid getting them wet in case there was a loss of control and he fell, but this was not the most likely thing. He did it in case someone approached so he could throw himself into the water pretending to be swimming. When he removed all his clothes, leaving only underwear on, he noticed a pair of chakra signatures approaching. Upon turning, he noticed 2 girls up high looking at him, both blushing. The blonde greeted them. The 2 girls, after greeting him, ran away. The blonde did not give it importance, and upon not sensing any chakra signature within a radius of 50 meters, he began his training. He launched himself into the water, remaining standing with 7 kunais and 7 targets floating in the water. The child ran toward the center of the lake, making a huge jump. In the air, the blonde turned upside down, throwing the kunais at each respective target. At the end, he threw 2 into the air, and with a third, he hit them, making them fall on their respective targets. Naruto, after collecting his material and sealing it in a scroll along with his clothes, began performing hand seals, increasing his weight to double what it was with his gravity seal. He stood on his hands in the water and then did it with one hand, beginning to do push-ups with only one hand. This helps his physical conditioning by having chakra control with extra weight and being able to maintain a constant chakra flow in difficult situations. After spending the morning and part of the afternoon training, he put on his clothes as quickly as possible and headed toward his favorite place, Ichiraku Ramen. After a few minutes running, even with the gravity seal making him twice as heavy, when the blonde was about to greet Tukuzin and Ayamanikin, he remembered that he still had the seal on, so he once again made hand seals and returned it to normality. Good afternoon, Tukuzin, Ayamanikin, said the blonde, excited since he could only eat ramen once a week. Good afternoon, Naruto-kun, answered the brunette. Ayamanikin, where is Tukuzin? Asked the child. He had to go get more vegetables, answered the young woman. While he returns, could you give me a bowl of ramen? Asked the blonde. Of course, a Naruto special with lots of vegetables, answered Ayam before entering the kitchen. About 3 bowls of ramen later, the owner arrived. Ohio, Tukuzin, said the blue-eyed boy with a smile from ear to ear. Ohio, Naruto-kun, is the ramen good? He asked with a smile between his teeth. Hi, as always, answered the blonde, very animated. Naruto ate about 4 more bowls of ramen before paying and returning to his house to rest, since it would be his first day at the academy and he wanted to be as prepared as possible for his first day. The Next day, the blue-eyed boy, after doing everything he usually did in the mornings, headed toward the academy. He was very excited to see so many people, but after a few minutes he was wrapped in a cloak of nostalgia. Upon seeing all the parents with their respective children who were accompanied to the opening ceremony. But he was interrupted when a girl, apparently daughter of civilians with black hair, brown eyes, and pale skin, introduced herself to the blonde. He became a little happy upon seeing that a girl wanted to be his friend. "Hello, my name is Nanami, nice to meet you," said the girl with an obvious blush. "Hello, my name is Naruto, nice to meet you," answered the blonde, only making the girl blush even more. "You are very cute," mentioned the girl before running away. Naruto watched her walk away, becoming saddened. After a few minutes, the blonde was surprised by Iruka Yumino while he was lost in his thoughts. "Naruto-kun, the opening ceremony is about to start," said the brown-haired man with a smile. "Hi, Iruka-sensei," answered the blue-eyed boy, getting up from the swing hanging from the tree in front of the academy. The blonde took a seat among his future classmates to watch the sandame about to speak. "Welcome, future ninjas of Konoha. This place will forge your ninja path. You will learn the basics in this place, but only you can decide whether to become shinobi or civilians. Throughout your life, it will be full of experience, a variety of challenges, both difficult and laborious, and you will see companions fall along the path." The Hokage paused with a tone of suspense in the air before continuing. "Today will be the day you begin your ninja path, and may the will of fire burn in your hearts," said the old man, encouraging the new academy students before hearing applause and observing faces full of inspiration and determination. After the opening ceremony had ended, each child headed to their respective classrooms to wait for their new teachers. The blue-eyed boy was the first to arrive. He went down a couple of steps to sit on his left side in the center seats of the classroom. Only a few minutes passed before hearing the door slide open before turning around. "Hello, Naruto," said a brown-haired boy while chewing junk food. Accompanied by a black-haired boy with a pineapple-shaped head. "Ohio," said the heir of the Nara clan, greeting the blonde. "What did you think of Hokage's speech?" asked the Akimichi with excitement. "Now I am even more certain of fulfilling my dream," answered the blonde, clenching his fists with determination. "Troublesome," mentioned the Nara with disinterest. After Naruto returned to his seat, the other students began to arrive. While observing, he could notice the heirs of different clans, such as Yamanaka, Hyuga, Inuzuka, Aburame, and children of civilians, among them Haruno, Sakura, and Higurashi Tenten. At the end, after they entered and took their seats, the ninjas passed through the door. A familiar ninja, though not very well known at the moment. "Ohio, Sasuke," said the blonde, raising his hand to indicate his location to the Uchiha. The black-eyed boy walked down the steps and then sat next to the blue-eyed child. They began talking to each other until about 5 minutes later the teacher entered. When the blonde child observed who his new teacher was, he almost became speechless, but tried to hide it. "Good morning, children. I am Iruka Yumino, and I will be your sensei from now on," said the brown-haired man, making a small bow. "Now each one of you will introduce yourselves, say your names, clans, or surnames, and your dreams." The first stood up before beginning. "My name is Shino of the Aburame clan, and my dream is to be a good clan leader when I grow up," he said before sitting down. "My name is Shikamaru of the Nara clan, and my dream is to have a life that is not troublesome. My name is Hinata of the Hyuga clan, and my dream is for my father to recognize my strength," said the pearly-eyed girl with noticeable nervousness before turning and seeing a blonde looking at her with a smile on his face, causing a red tone on her face. "My name is Choji of the Akimichi clan," he said, pausing to swallow the food in his mouth before continuing. "My dream is to be a good clan leader. My name is Kiba of the Inuzuka clan, and my dream is to be a good leader of my clan. My name is Sasuke of the Uchiha clan, and my dream is to be a great ninja like my brother," said the black-haired boy before sitting down. My name is Naruto of the Uzumaki clan, and my dream is to be the next Hokage, said the blue-eyed boy. Behind him a laugh was heard accompanied by a mocking voice. What makes you think you can achieve it? You do not look very promising, said the Inuzuka, causing his classmates to laugh except for two. Everything is possible with effort, answered the blonde with a smile, silencing the dog boy and causing blushes among the girls. A couple of hours passed until recess started. All the students left the classrooms. The blonde sat on the swing to begin eating onigiri, rice balls. The blue-eyed boy, after finishing the onigiri, entered his mental landscape, which had changed. It was no longer a sewer. He had changed it a couple of years ago into a lush forest with a huge lake in the center and blue sky. "Hello, pup. What brings you here?" asked the giant fox. Lying next to the lake, the blue-eyed boy walked directly to the red-haired fox sitting next to him and leaning against his silky fur. "I just wanted to relax a little with my friends," said Naruto, making the giant fox smile. The day passed quickly between introductions and a few notes about chakra and its respective uses. When classes ended, all the children left to greet their respective parents, telling them how the day at the academy had been. The blonde began to become a little sad. "Naruto," said the Uchiha, drawing the blue-eyed boy's attention. "Are you coming? I am going to train with shurikens and my taijutsu," said the black-eyed boy with a smile toward the blue-eyed child. "Sorry, Sasuke. Today I have something to do," answered the blonde, causing a grimace on the black-haired boy. "All right, see you tomorrow," shouted the Uchiha, walking away. The blonde left the academy a few minutes later toward the lake, carrying out his own training. "Pup," said a deep voice, causing the blonde to stop. "Today you are not going to train as usual," said the fox, pausing. "I have a slightly more challenging training for you," said the fox with a grin. The blue-eyed boy arrived at the lake, excited for the new training the fox had prepared for him. "First, I need you to get a kunai with little sharpness," mentioned the red-haired fox. The blonde took out a small scroll stored in his hoodie. The child added a little chakra to the scroll, and then a kunai appeared while the summoning smoke dispersed. "Now, Naruto, try to balance the tip of the kunai on your finger using chakra, and try to make it travel across your hand and arm," said the QB before the child began. The blonde was able to make the kunai balance across his arm without any problem. "Well done, Naruto. Now try it with a sharp kunai," said the fox, making the blonde ninja a little nervous. The blue-eyed boy repeated the same process as before, then had a new sharp kunai in his hand. He performed the exercise again and got the same result. "Very good, pup. Are you ready for the best part?" said the QB, pausing before continuing. "As you will notice, this exercise is very similar to the leaf one," mentioned the fox before seeing the child nod his head. "What changes in this exercise may seem to be only small details, but that is where you are wrong. Instead of sticking it to some part of your body, you must apply the necessary chakra to keep it balanced and in place on the tip and allow it to move. Besides that, the weight changes, making its balance and movement along the arm more complicated, not counting the extra chakra usage. Now, like the leaf, if you apply too much chakra, it will fly away. But if you do not apply enough, it will fall and cut you. That is not a problem for you, because thanks to me you can recover quickly, but obviously you will notice the pain of the cuts," explained Kurama, pausing. "But that is not all, pup," he said, causing a raised eyebrow. "You will have to stay on the water while performing this exercise. If you focus too much on the kunai, you will sink, but if you focus on re-establishing chakra to stay on the water, you will reduce the chakra in the kunai, and it will cut you," said the fox with a tone of amusement. The child spent the following hours training, followed by cuts on his hands and pants soaked up to the knees. As sunset began, the blonde took the kunai, then sealed it in his scroll and headed toward the shore. "This is very complicated," mentioned the blue-eyed boy, accompanied by a sigh. Upon arriving home, the blonde washed the cuts on his arms and hands, then placed bandages around them. He left the bathroom to prepare food. After eating, the blonde thought about reading a few pending scrolls of Futon Jutsus. When the blue-eyed boy was about to sit down, he thought of taking a walk through Konoha, so he went out. While Naruto walked near the Uchiha residences, he could feel how the chakra signatures were disappearing one by one quickly. The blonde quickly joined. His hands then murmured Henge no Jutsu, transformation jutsu, and took the physical traits of an 18-year-old person: blue eyes, brown hair, with black shinobi pants, black ninja sandals, and a black long-sleeve shirt. As a precaution, the blue-eyed boy took out a scroll adding chakra to it, to then have a fox mask. He put it on and then jumped on top of the wall that divided the Uchiha home from Konoha. The brown-haired man gathered a bit of chakra in his eyes and then displayed pearl-colored eyes with veins standing out at the sides of the eyes. The pearlied man could notice 3 people were in the main house, but in a blink another chakra signature disappeared. He quickly deactivated his eyes and then took out a scroll to obtain a pair of kunais, which he threw toward the Uchiha, who dodged them by jumping backward after hearing the glass crack from the kunais. The blue-eyed boy in a blink appeared beside a young woman who was crying from the death of apparently her husband. The brown-haired man placed his hand on the black-eyed woman's shoulder to calm her a little. The blonde quickly, without thinking, launched himself at the Uchiha, only to see how his random punches and kicks were dodged. Seeing that it gave no result, he jumped backward, but when he placed his foot on the ground, he turned to look, only to be surprised by a blow to the stomach that sent him toward the wall, making him fall helplessly. Suddenly, Sasuke entered the room because of the sound of the hit that was heard after. The blue-eyed boy was struck. "Father, mother," said the child before seeing his father dead, while his mother was curled over his corpse crying silently. From the darkness a silhouette emerged, and then he realized it was his older brother, Itachi Uchiha, with red eyes because of the Sharingan brother. "Mom and Dad are..." "Why? How? Who did this?" He was quickly interrupted by a shuriken that stopped at the door, cutting the child's shoulder. He grabbed his shoulder because of the temporary pain it caused. "What are you doing?" asked the younger Uchiha, but he only received a cold stare from his brother. "Foolish little brother," said the older Uchiha before closing his eyes and opening them. "Mangekyo Sharingan," he said, and then his eyes changed shape into a three-pointed shuriken. Quickly, Sasuke fell into the Jin Jutsu, which showed him how his brother killed the entire clan. The child began to scream upon seeing the deaths of his clan before collapsing exhausted. "Why?" asked the younger Uchiha between gasps. "To measure my abilities," answered the older Uchiha with cold words. "To measure your abilities? Is that all? Just because of that, everyone died?" asked the child with less difficulty. "It was necessary," answered the ninja standing. "Do not say nonsense," shouted Sasuke while running toward his brother with fury, but he was met by a punch to the stomach, leaving him trembling on the floor. At that moment, tears began to stream from the child, filling his cheeks. With them, the ninja in front of him took a step toward him, making the student frightened. "I do not want to die. I am scared," thought the child before standing up and running from the room, screaming in terror. Upon reaching the door, he quickly put on his sandals to continue his escape. But it did not work, since a few meters ahead his brother appeared, blocking the path. "It is impossible. My brother is not like this," shouted the child. "I only played the role of older brother to evaluate you. You are the only one capable of measuring my abilities. You are also capable of activating the Mangekyo Sharingan, but it requires one condition. You must kill your best friend, just as I did." The ninja paused before continuing. "In the Nakano temple, beneath the 7th tatami on the right side, is the secret place where the clan meets. The true secret is found there. If you could activate it, the number of people who could use the Mangekyo Sharingan, including me, would be 3. If that happens, there is a reason to leave you alive, but for now you do not have the courage to kill. If you want to kill me, despise me, hate me, and live your life abhorring me," said the ninja with increasingly more contempt in his words. but he was interrupted by a woman running toward the younger Uchiha. When she was about to touch her son's shoulder, the Uchiha threw a pair of shurikens toward the woman, which Sasuke watched with tears and terror in his eyes. Mom shouted the child, but before the shurikens got close enough, they were intercepted by a ninja with a fox mask who caught them with his hand. The Uchiha matriarch hugged her son with tears running down her pale cheeks. "I am glad you are all right," said the Uchiha woman before turning to look at her eldest son and fainting mom. Asked the younger Uchiha anxiously. "Calm down, she only fainted from looking directly into your brother's eyes and falling into a Mangekyo Jinjutsu," said Naruto with a different voice, trying to calm the child. "Run far away and stay alive. Someday, when you have the same eyes I have, come find me," said the Uchiha, turning his Sharingan into Mangekyo. But before Sasuke lost consciousness, he heard the voice of the ninja beside him. "Strength is not based on hatred, and you know that very well," said the masked man before the child fell unconscious. Itachi turned around to disappear into the air, but before leaving he stopped. "We will see each other again. Take care of Sasuke, and thank you for saving Mother," mentioned the Uchiha with a bit of happiness in his final words before disappearing. Chapter 3. 1 week later in the hospital in Kanahigakura, a black-eyed boy was found lying in his bed. When he opened his eyes with difficult and heavy breathing, "A dream?" thought the child, but when he tried to get up, he felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. Upon lifting his sleeve, he could remember how his brother threw a shuriken, cutting his arm. The Uchiha sat on the bed before standing and heading to the hallway. Black-haired boy walked a few meters. When around the corner, he heard a conversation from two nurses. "Poor child, he was one of the last survivors," said the younger nurse. "Yes, his mother is still asleep. She was transferred to room 249 this morning," answered the second nurse. "What happened to the brother?" asked the first nurse. "They still have not found him," answered the older nurse again. Upon hearing this, the child passed unnoticed beside the nurses and then headed toward the stairs. He ran down them as fast as he could through stumbles and falls, leaving bruises on his legs from constant impacts against them. He reached the upper floor and then opened a door leading to an empty hallway. The black-eyed boy ran through it until stopping in front of a door with the number 249 engraved at the top. Upon sliding the door open, he noticed a woman with silky black hair and pale skin lying beside the window. Her face showed peace, followed by the orange color of the sunset softly passing through the white curtains. Beside her were flowers, more specifically sunflowers in a vase with water. He took a few steps toward the woman before stopping in front of the bed where she lay. The black-haired boy was about to shed tears of happiness upon seeing his mother safe until he was interrupted. "I see you feel better," said a voice, causing the small student to turn and see a blonde standing in the doorway with a bouquet of sunflowers and cherry blossoms. "What are you doing here?" asked the black-haired boy with sadness in his words. "After hearing what happened, I have come to visit both you and your mother every day," replied the blonde with pleasant calmness. "How long have I been unconscious?" asked the Uchiha with concern. "For 1 week," answered the blue-eyed boy before speaking. "But it seems that during this whole week, I am the only one who has come to visit you," said the child with a kind smile. "What are the flowers for?" asked the black-haired boy bitterly. "Every day, I bring you flowers. It is said that flowers cheer up the sick, helping in their recovery," answered the blue-eyed boy while replacing the sunflowers already in the vase. The Jinchuriki slowly approached, extending the flowers to be taken. "No, I do not need them," murmured the black-haired boy, pausing. "I do not need your flowers," he shouted while knocking the flowers away with his hand and running out. He ran through the hallways until finding a door toward the stairs, went down quickly, ran through people without caring about bumping into them or being seen. Upon leaving the hospital, he only stopped to turn and look at the building before starting to run again. He ran between the houses until reaching the entrance, where the Uchiha clan lived. Upon arriving, he noticed police tape that said, "Do not cross." The child passed through the mess. His mind played a trick on him, making him believe people still passed by. But he quickly could see the abandoned houses while bitter memories came back from when the Uchiha still prospered. He heard with the sound of a drop falling followed by another, Sasuke looked at the sky with dull eyes. The rain broke out as little Uchiha walked soaked through the wide and desolate streets and then got lost in a memory. Flashback scene. "Sasuke-kan, are you going to school?" asked an elderly Uchiha. "Yes," replied the black-haired man with a smile. "I haven't seen a Takusen for a long time. I bet he has grown up. He is a first-class ninja. He graduated with high honors at the age of 7 and became Chunin at 10," said the old woman. "He was also able to use the Sharingan at the age of 8, said the boy, to completing the white-haired. "Yes, you are right. He is the pride of the Uchiha clan," the woman finished saying. End of flashback. The little student was still walking in the rain with his eyes on the floor. Before reaching his home, he opened the door and watched for a few moments to instantly remember his mother welcoming him home. He removed his sandals before continuing walking in the hallway next to the garden under the rain. As he passed through the corridor, he could remember endless memories that only gradually embittered his heart. At that moment, he heard a noise coming from the kitchen, so he ran towards it. "Mother!" The boy shouted, waiting for an answer. But the only thing he heard was the meow of a cat perched on the window that fled after the entrance of the Uchiha. He turned to look at the kitchen slowly to fall back into another memory. He left the kitchen to go to the room where he saw his brother for the first time that night. He could only see a white silhouette on the floor where his father's body was found with blood stains around it. The next day, Sasuke went to the Nakano Temple to confirm what his brother told him on the night of the Uchiha massacre. At Nakano Temple, under the 7th tatami on the right side, is the secret place where the clan gathers, Itachi said that night. The boy entered the temple and checked the site to find a hidden door that leads you to some stairs. The black-eyed man went down the stairs to find a dark room with a couple of lit torches, and in the middle of the room there was a stone carved with the secrets of the clan. "I see. So this is what he meant," murmured the black-haired man with half-closed eyes. The student left the temple after having arranged everything in its place so as not to leave evidence of his appearance, and then went to the ninja academy. When he arrived, he drank, waiting for the class to start. "Hey Shikamaru, are we going to buy candy after school?" asked the Akimichi with a smile, waiting for a positive question. "I can't. You can go because your mom is kind. If my mother finds out that I went to buy candy after school, it would become very problematic," replied the boy Nara. At that moment, the Uchiha heard some murmuring behind the quite clear. "Did you know all the Uchihas were killed?" said the boy on the right side. "Yes, I heard my dad talk about it. He and his mother are the only survivors," replied the other boy, while directing his gaze towards the black-eyed, followed by the other. The blonde listened to the murmuring as he entered the classroom, and then hit them on the head, making a gentleman with his finger to stop talking about the subject. School passed the same as every day, with the difference that the class moved to the playground. At the end of school, the Uchiha quickly left, arriving at the lake where his father had taught him the Katan Gokaku no Jutsu. He sat at the tip of the harbor for boats before remembering the words of his father and mother. "As I expected from my son." He remembered the words of the Uchiha. "Father, your father always talks about you when we are alone." He recalled the matriarch Uchiha saying, "I always wondered what kind of conversation my father had with my mother," murmured the boy with sadness in his words. He took a stone together and threw it into the water, distorting his reflection. The black-eyed could notice how his reflection took the shape of his brother as he remembered his words. "If you want to kill me, hate me, despise me," he heard the boy in his thoughts. He stood up to jump into the water when he was interrupted by a voice that erases those feelings of hatred in his heart. "At that moment, it seems that you are ready to jump," said the blonde behind the Uchiha. The black-haired turned to see his only friend and best friend standing in front of him with a bouquet of cherry blossoms. "The last time we saw each other, I couldn't give you this," said the blonde, extending the bouquet towards the black-eyed. Sasuke quickly ran towards the blonde, giving him a hug with tears running down his cheeks. "I'm sorry. I felt very sad and confused," said the Uchiha, clinging more to the blonde's shoulder. The next day, Naruto woke up, bathed, dressed, and had breakfast like any other day. When he arrived at the academy, He could notice his friend Sasuke with the new clothes, black long-sleeved shirt with a high collar and the Uchiha symbol on his back, white shorts, and blue ninja sandals. But when he sat next to him, he could notice a more mature and serious air. "Ohio, Sasuke," the blonde greeted his friend. "Ohio, Naruto," replied the black-eyed one a little serious. "What's wrong?" asked the blue-eyed man curiously. "From now on it will be more serious to fulfill my new goal," pausing before continuing. "I have to find out why my brother murdered my clan. I'm sure there is a logical answer after this, and after finding it, bring him here to be punished," finished the Uchiha, taking a serious tone. Weeks passed. The black-eyed man kept his word. Now he acted more and more serious and lonely, but he was still the funny and friendly boy when he was alone with the blue-eyed. Also, Uchiha's seriousness began to attract a few students from the school. Uzumaki was not far behind, as he had fans inside and outside the academy. Everyone was in their places waiting for the sensei. "Good morning, students," said the sensei as he entered the room, and everyone bowed to him in greeting. "These 5 days will not be how I normally give classes," said the brown-haired man, placing the books on his desk. "Before continuing these 5 days, I will test his physical, coordination, and chakra skills. This activity is called recognition of skills. These last 3.5 months I have known them intellectually. Sakura and Naruto have a high knowledge in great variety, and both Shikamaru and Naruto have very advanced reasoning and intelligence. But the only difference is that young Shikamaru is relatively lazy," said the ninja, pausing before continuing. "Followed by the three of them is Sasuke." Irika ends up saying, smiling with satisfaction from the black-haired. Throughout the class, murmurs were heard wondering who would be the best. Many bet on the Uchiha since his clan was recognized for its strength and intelligence. Each time the class was filled more and more with the murmurs. "Silence, silence," said the sensei, before calming the class and starting. The next day, all the students were waiting quietly in their seats. "Shikamaru, who do you think is the best at skill recognition?" asked the brown boy. "The Uchiha boy seems to be the most skilled, but we can't rule out Naruto. We've never seen his skills, but he doesn't seem to make it easy for him," said the black-haired boy before continuing. "Troublesome." He sighed his pineapple-shaped head. "First day?" "Good morning, children," said the brown-haired man to receive a bow. Before continuing, "Today, the class will be outside. So go out so that we can start the recognition of skills," finished the ninja, before guiding the group to the activity. When they arrived, everyone could see a rope tied from one end to the other, while in the center there was a trough of 1.5 meters deep, filled halfway with water. "Today I am going to test the balance that each of you has," mentioned the sensei, observing in the girls with a face of displeasure. "Who would like to be the first to pass?" asked the brown-haired, looking at all his students without receiving an answer. Apparently none of them dares to go, so I will have to choose. He paused, looking at the whole group. "The first to pass will be Uchiha Sasuke," said the ninja. The black-eyed approached the sensei and then proceeded to the rope. As expected, the Uchiha passed without any problem. "As always, the hairy one," acclaimed the black-haired. "That's Sasuke-kun. As always, perfect," shouted the girl, making the Uchiha faintly annoyed. "Well, now make a line to be able to go to do the test," said the sensei. Everyone formed and went passing. Most of the men passed with a little difficulty and others fell, except for the Uchiha and the blonde, which passed without any problem. After all the men passed, the women began. Just like most of the men, the women passed with difficulty, but there were a few. A total of 4 who did not make it, among them Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino. "As expected," said the brown-haired man, pausing. "Girls have prepared less to be ninja than boys, and apparently there are some who have not exercised in their entire lives," said the sensei, observing the few girls who could not cross. "You shouldn't do this type of activities where you can get dirty," said the hairy one, frowning. "This is what it takes to become a ninja. Go through various activities that help you in your growth as a ninja," mentioned the blonde, explaining. "Why, shut up, loser," replied the girl with poison in her words. "I support Naruto. Being a ninja is serious. It is not a game in which you can decide to get dirty or not," mentioned the Uchiha with cold words, taking a step forward. The green-eyed only blushed without paying attention to what he was saying. "Well, children, tomorrow we will see you here again for the second part of the recognition of skills," said the brown-haired man as he said goodbye to his students. The blonde was starting to head to the lake to start his daily chakra control training, followed by physical conditioning. But he was quickly taken aback after crashing into a pearl-eyed girl. "I'm sorry, Hinata," I didn't see you, said the blonde with a smile. Don't worry, the girl contested shyly. I heard that tomorrow the activity was about the use of equipment. Would you like to train with me? The blue-eyed man asked calmly. The girl Hugo was too nervous to answer, so he just bowed his head. Perfect, said the blonde to start walking, being followed by the eyed one. They walked until they reached a small forest where they would start with his. The blonde had managed to create a bracelet that would serve as a training scroll. So he applied chakra to the bracelet, getting 5 shurikens in his hand. Without the Rujai noticing, take Hinata, said the blonde, showing him the shurikens. What you must do is throw each shuriken to a tree, making them stand vertically, explained the blue-eyed. The girl, after hearing the breath, began to throw the shurikens towards a tree, but these only passed to the sides until the last one could hit her. It seems that your aim is not very good. But it doesn't matter why we are here, said the blonde, causing a blush by the sweetness of his words towards the eye. Hours passed. It was already starting to get dark, but the Hugo was still in her training. After so many hours, the pearl, I was able to hit the tree times in a straight line vertically. Very well, Hinata, you have improved a lot, said the blonde, while smiling. Hi, replied the young woman with a small smile under her blush. Second day. Good morning, children. Today I am going to test your aim and handling your equipment, said the sensei, pausing to begin with. Each one will be given 5 shurikens. Their objective is to throw the shurikens to a tree, making them align vertically, mentioned the chestnut, while pointing to about 4 trees, and in each one 5 shurikens nailed. This time the girls were the first, but most could only hit the tree once or twice. There was only one who could hit the tree more than 2 times. That was Hinata with 4 vertically aligned shuriken, not perfectly, but remarkable her ability. But just like the day before, the only one unable to hit even once was Sakura. Don't worry, Sakura. Everyone has a strong point, said the sensei, trying to cheer up the hairy one. The men started. The difference was noticeable in the dedication to being a ninja. Most of them hit the tree D times in a row, but in different parts of the trunk. A few others only hit 3 times. After passing most of them, it was the Uchiha's turn. He took the shurikens, and with a single impulse he threw them all at once, forming a straight vertical line. Seeing this, all the students learned not only that he could form the vertical line with the shurikens, but also that he achieved it by throwing them all at the same time. This is how Sasuke is done. A very recognizable female voice was heard from the hairy one. The blonde went to the tree to remove the shurikens stuck in the log. When he removed them, he took the same length that they all took to do the test, about 5 meters. The blonde repeated the same thing that the black-haired man did to throw all at once with the same result. He formed a totally straight vertical line with the shurikens. The other students were surprised again to see that in addition to the Uchiha, the blonde could perform this feat. Very well, that's all for today, said the sensei before everyone left for their homes, except for the blue-eyed, who will do his daily training and then perform his favorite pastime. Third day. Everyone was in the courtyard of the academy waiting for the teacher while they talked and talked. A few minutes passed until the teacher arrived. Good morning, he said, calling attention before starting. Today, I am going to test your level of chakra control, said the sensei. Before continuing, I will teach you an exercise that with practice will improve your chakra control. But for now it will serve to make you have such good control of your chakra, said the chestnut tree. The sensei began to pass one by one, giving them some simple tree leaves before starting his explanation. These are simple leaves, so you will not have a shortage of resources to be able to train your chakra control at a basic level, said the ninja, smiling. Before continuing, in this part of the skill recognition, the only thing you have to do is add a certain amount of chakra to the blade. If you use little, the leaf will fall. But if you add too much, the leaf will fly away. The goal is to make the leaf remain static at the point of your body, in this case the forehead, since it is one of the most difficult points where you can concentrate chakra. Finished the explanation the sensei. Each of the students began to try their luck, but many only managed to make their leaf fly. The brown-haired man began to review the result of each child with a tablet on which he wrote down each aspect of the previous days. The blonde was very calm, since he could perform this training very easily. Very well, Sakura has already managed to master the basic level of chakra control. Have you been training? Asked the ninja curiously. No, sensei, replied the hairy one. Great. How is it that he has managed to perform that chakra control in just a few seconds? The blonde thought, surprised and a little jealous, since it took him much longer to be able to perform it perfectly. I can explain that to you. Puppy, said a thick voice. That girl has a very low amount of chakra, which makes it easier to control her chakra, unlike you who have an amount of chakra that exceeds the Hokage, explained the fox to the blonde. A few minutes later, the brown-haired man stood in front of the blonde to observe how he performed the exercise perfectly. Very well, Naruto. You are full of surprises, said the sensei with a smile, and then continued evaluating the other students. Fourth day. Today it will be about demonstrating how good physical development. You have mentioned the chestnut tree, and then pointed out a series of obstacles. You must make a race between the following obstacles. He paused before continuing, and pointing out each obstacle one by one. You will perform a speed race until you reach a wall of 3 meters with ropes, which you will use to climb. When you reach the top, you will jump on the mattress and then run into a handrail, which will pass through a pond of water. And to finish, you must jump between about 7 stones without falling to reach the goal. But if you fall, in addition to filling yourself with mud, you must return to the beginning, said the ninja, before guiding everyone to the finish line. Before I forget, the race will be mixed, and the prize will be a scroll with an elementary jutsu rank E of the element that you will decide, said the sensei, making the competition more tense. All the students were placed at the starting line. Begin, indicated the brown-haired, and they all ran away. Quickly the Uchiha took the lead, but it did not last long. When he sees a blonde begin to take the lead, quickly the Blackiad accelerated his pace, taking the same speed. Both reached the wall at the same time. Taking the rope, they began to climb, and when they reached the end, they jumped. The black-haired man found it a little strange that the blonde was faster than him, since he should have almost the same weight. But he downplayed it. He continued, running to reach the handrail. At the last moment, the Uchiha accelerated a little, making the first to reach the handrail. He passed quickly, demonstrating the strength in his arms. At last they had reached the last part. They began to jump each rock with such ease that it seemed as if they were doing it all the time. Both reached the finish line, but unfortunately the black-haired man arrived first by very little. What happened, puppy? You could have beaten him by a lot, or is he better than you? Said the fox sarcastically towards the boy. Kurama, you know well that I can't prove my abilities now. Besides, I already have enough E-rank jutsu. I wouldn't be surprised if Sasuke receives one that he already knows, replied the blonde with sadness hidden in his words. Then why do you sound sad? Asked the redhead. What happens is that I wanted to beat him, but if I do it could cause me problems, replied the blue-eyed with a pout on his face. Huh. That's the puppy I know, said the fox excitedly. Good race, Naruto, said the Uchiha as he walked towards the blonde. Also Sasuke, replied the blue-eyed one, shaking his hand against the Blackiad. 5 minutes later, all the other students finished. But as expected, just like the other exercises related to the physique, Sakura fueled the last one. Naruto, Iruka said, calling the boy's attention. Is something wrong, Iruka-sensei? Asked the blue-eyed one. Tell me, Naruto, since when do you use gravity seals? Asked the brown-haired man seriously. He noticed, Naruto said with a laugh. Pausing for a few years, the boy calmly contested. The ninja sighed before speaking. Naruto is full of surprises, commented the sensei. 5th day. Good morning, kids. Today is the 5th day of skill recognition, said the ninja. Before continuing today, I will test your taijutsu with a small tournament between you. The fights will take place within a circle of 5 meters in diameter. A draw will be made to distribute the 22 in random fights. The rules are very simple. One only taijutsu can be used. When using weapons or jutsus, they will be disqualified without pretexts. 2. The winner will be the one who knocks out his partner or by submission. 3. The one who leaves the circle will lose. For in the event of a tie, both will be disqualified. Well now, the first match will be Uchiha Sasuke versus Endo Akira, son of a civilian. Please go to the field to get started, said the brown-haired before starting. Start, the sensei said. Quickly the black-eyed man sped out towards his opponent. Before he knew it, he was kicked in the stomach, throwing him out of the circle. The winner, Uchiha Sasuke, said the brown-haired man before everyone applauded for his quick victory. Second fight, Akimichi Choji versus Daisher Hate, son of a civilian. They begin, said the ninja. Hate ran out to the chestnut, giving him a blow in the face to watch as he falls off the field. Winner, Daisher Hate, said the sensei, followed by applause again. Third match, Asari Ami, daughter of a civilian, versus Yamanaka Ino. Begin, said the sensei to start. Ami ran towards the blonde, sending her a high kick. Ino stopped her easily, but in a quick movement, he was grabbed by the neck with both legs of Ami and thrown out of the circle. Winner Asariami. Fourth fight, Inuzuka Kiba versus Bunyo Asahi, son of a civilian. They begin, said the brunette. The dog boy quickly ran towards Asahi, giving him a couple of punches followed by a kick. Asahi quickly recovered and then countered with a couple of punches. They were all dodged by the Inuzuka. Quickly, Kiba tripped him with his foot, causing him to fall out of the circle. Winner Inuzuka Kiba, commented the sensei. Fifth fight, Chikamatsu Jin, son of a civilian, versus Haruno Sakura. They begin, said the ninja. Jin gave the first blow but was dodged by the hairy woman before she slightly pushed Jin off balance. Quickly, the greenie throws a punch, but due to her lack of experience, she stumbled, falling out of the circle. Winner Chikamatsu Jin. Sixth fight, Nara Shikamaru versus Aizawa Itsuki, son of a civilian. Begins, mentioned the sensei. Shikamaru quickly stepped out of the problematic circle, muttered the black-haired winner Aizawa Itsuki. Seventh fight, Handa Anna, daughter of a civilian, versus Hiroko Ichiro, daughter of a civilian. Begin, said the ninja. Anna ran towards Ichiro, sending him punches and kicks. Ichiro blocked each of the attacks, took Anna by the arm, and then took her to the ground, applying a lock to the arm, causing her to surrender. Winner Hiroko Ichiro. Eighth fight, Ashida Kenta, son of a civilian, versus Aburame Shino. They begin, said the brunette. Both stared at each other, but that silence was interrupted when the boy with sunglasses walked slowly towards Kenta. Kenta began to sweat from the paralyzed nerve, not knowing what to do. When Aburame was in front, he raised both hands, pushing his opponent, who easily fell out of the circle. Winner Aburame Shino. Ninth fight, Hyuga Hinata versus Igarashi Kodon, daughter of a civilian. They begin, said the sensei. Kodon stepped forward, but Hinata seemed doubtful and shy. What's wrong, Hinata? Asked the blonde standing next to her. What if the last one? Asked the pearlied one with concern. Don't worry. This is just a test, so give your best, replied the blue-eyed one calmly. But I will hurt her, said the blue-haired one. Life is full of wounds. You can't worry about others if you are unable to take care of yourself, Hinata. I think you win, said the blonde, becoming serious. But before the Hyuga entered the circle, the blonde murmured in her ear before the pearlied changed compressed, filling her eyes with a glow of determination. As the two on the field began the fight, the eye-opener took the stance. Kodon ran towards her before throwing a punch to Hinata's face. The eye-opener quickly dodged it by touching Kodon's shoulder and rib. Kodon tried to throw one more punch, but fell to the ground unconscious. Winner, Hyuga Hinata. Everyone was surprised by this event, because for that small moment, the blue-haired woman changed her gaze, taking a drastic advantage, leading her to victory. The eyed woman left the circle to pass by the blonde in. We don't see the exit, said the girl with an obviously obvious blush. 10th fight, Akatsuka Mine, daughter of civilian, versus Kamio Kurumi, daughter of civilian. We'll begin, commented the ninja. Both ran away while bumping fists before releasing a series of kicks and punches. The fight was very even until Kurumi slipped, causing Mine to see an opening and then hit her hard in the stomach, making her fall unconscious. Winner Akatsuka Mine. 11th fight, Uzumaki Naruto versus Motori Mio, daughter of a civilian. Begin, said the brunette. Are you ready? Asked the blonde before starting. Of course. Don't think that, because you are cute, I will let you win, Mio said gracefully. Thank you, you are beautiful too, replied the blonde, making the opponent blush. Mio threw herself towards the opponent with legs and punches. The blonde blocks all the punches with ease. You are good. But said the blonde, starting to counterattack, throwing punches towards her weak enough, only causing her to back away. When Mio was right on the shore, the blonde pushed him with his finger on the forehead, making Calero. Winner, Uzumaki Naruto. 12th fight, Anime Run, son of civilian, versus Hayata Kotaro, son of civilian. Begins, mentioned the sensei. Rin quickly throws a punch towards Kotaro that connects easily in the face. Kotaro got up to kick Rin, which he dodged. Before he knew it, another leg quickly moved towards Rin, hitting him and knocking him out of the circle. Winner, Hayata Kotaro. Very well, now we will start the second round. The winners of the previous round were Uchiha Sasuke, Daisher Hade, Asari Ami, Inuzuka Kiba, Chikamaru Jin, Aizawa Itsuki, Ichiro Hiroko, Aburame Shino, Hyuga Hinata, Akatsuka Mine, Uzumaki Naruto, and Hayata Kotaro, said the sensei, pausing. First match of the second round, Uchiha Sasuke versus Daisher Hei begin indicates the sensei. Hei ran towards the Uchiha, throwing a kick. Quickly, the Blackiad blocked it to land a punch on Hei's right rib. Hei jumped back to make space. Before he knew it, the black-haired man appeared next to him, hitting him in the face, followed by a kick in the stomach, causing him to fall out of the circle. Winner Uchiha Sasuke. Second fight of the second round is Sariyami versus Inuzuka Kiba. They begin, said the brunette. The black-haired man ran towards the girl. She gave a low kick, but quickly the dog boy jumped, connecting a kick to Ami's shoulder. She grabbed her shoulder in pain before Kiba hit her in the mind, making her fall out of the circle. Winner Inuzuka Kiba. Third match of the second round, Chikanatsu Jin versus Aizawa Itsuki begins. Mention the ninja. Jin ran towards Itsuki, landing a punch followed by a kick. Itsuki jumped back before running out to Jin, who stopped him with a punch to the stomach before Itsuki fell unconscious. Winner Chikanatsu Jin. Fourth fight of the second round, Ichiro Hitoko versus Aburame Shino begin indicates the sensei. Hitoko ran towards the boy with glasses. He remained in place. Hitoko threw the first punch, but was stopped by a wall of insects. Quickly, Hitoko jumped back. Aburame Shino has been disqualified for the use of his insects, said Irika, while stopping the fight. Winner Ichiro Hitoko. Fifth fight of the second round, Hyuga Hinata versus Akatsuka Mine begins, said the ninja. Mine ran towards the eyeball, but the result was the same as the previous fight of the Hyuga hit 2 points, making Mine fall unconscious in a few seconds. Winner Hyuga Hinata. Sixth fight of the second round, Uzumaki Naruto versus Hayata Kotaro begins. Mentioned the brown-haired. Kotaro jumped up, kicking the blonde in the air, who dodged it. Quickly, the blonde swept him, making Kotaro be suspended for a second in the air. Enough for Naruto to quickly hit him with his elbow in the stomach, hitting him fall faster. An unconscious. Winner Uzumaki Naruto, said the sensei, a little amazed by the speed of the blonde, even having the gravity seals. With this fight, we finished the second round. Now we will start with the third round, said the sensei excitedly to the remaining participants and spectators. Since they are uneven, you will go directly to the final, but that will be resolved later. Mentioned the ninja before continuing. First fight of the third round, Uchiha Sasuke versus Inuzuka Kiba. They begin, said the brown-haired dog. The boy dog ran towards the Uchiha without thinking about it, throwing a punch which was blocked. Sasuke threw a punch, being very effective towards the face of the Inuzuka. The Uchiha kept sending punches and kicks, which connected perfectly with the Kiba. Quickly, the boy dog jumped back before attacking again with a punch. The Blackiad quickly dodged him by taking the arm of the Inuzuka and using the momentum that the punch carried. Sasuke threw him out of the circle, making him fall on his back. Winner Uchiha Sasuke. Second fight of the third round, Chikamatsu Jin versus Ichiro Hiroko. They begin, said the sensei. Jin ran towards Hiroko while throwing a couple of punches that were blocked. Hiroko countered with a high kick, but the opponent crouched down before connecting a blow to the right rib. He quickly jumped back, taking distance. Hiroko approached again, hitting him in the face. Both gave a powerful blow to the stomach. A few seconds after the impact, both fell to the ground unconscious. Draw. Both are disqualified. The third fight of the third round, Hyuga Hinata versus Uzumaki Naruto begins, said the ninja. Ready, Hinata? Asked the blonde. Hi, replied the blue-haired woman excitedly before doing a series of hand poses while muttering Byakugan. Naruto quickly ran off, kicking towards the eyeball that quickly broke her defense of the extra power and heaviness she has from her gravity seals. She did not stay still, so she also ran against the blonde, punching with the open palm full of chakra. The blue eye was dodging each one until he took the girl's arm, throwing her into the air. He quickly regained his balance. Falling near the end of the circle, the blonde turned his eyes, waiting for the sensei to be distracted for a second, and seeing that he turned to see a bird, the Uzumaki exploded in speed, disappearing from everyone's sight. Even the Byakugan, which had his adversary active. In the blink of an eye, the blonde appeared in front of the young woman, pushing her, making her take a couple of steps backwards, taking her out of the circle. When the ninja returned his gaze and noticed the Hyuga outside the circle, he will be discovered by the quick result, so he sighed before speaking. Winner Uzumaki Naruto. All the students had their mouths open because of what happened. Good fight, Hinata, said the blonde, extending his hand to the pearl eye. Hi, replied the blue-haired woman with a bit of confusion about what happened. Very well, with this we end the third and because of the draw we go directly to the final, said the ninja, pausing. The final will take place between Uchiha Sasuke versus Uzumaki Naruto. They will start, said the ninja. Who do you think Shikamaru will win? Asked a big-boned boy. I don't know, Choji. Sasuke has shown to be strong and fast, but Naruto, as we saw a while ago, it seems that he is full of surprises, said the black-haired one. Inside the circle, Sasuke had already for the first time placed himself in the well-known fighting pose of the Uchiha. What's up, Naruto? Are you not going to put your stance? Said the Uchiha with a smile. I'm not sorry. I prefer it to be fun, replied the blonde. You always try to have fun. Here I go, said the black-haired man, extending his smile. The Uzumaki ran away at a speed that only high-ranking Genin can have. Most of them lost sight of him except for a few. The blonde unleashed a blow towards the Uchiha's face. He bent down, throwing a blow towards the Uzumaki's stomach. Naruto evaded him by throwing 2 legs at the black-eyed face, as expected, to block both legs, before returning it, trying to get his opponent off balance, which did not work. Both jumped back with a little agitated breathing. Again, they went out against each other, exchanging blows and kicks. All attempts at punches and kicks were useless, so they returned to the initial state. One on each side of the circle. You are good, Naruto, mentioned the Uchiha. Same as your Sasuke, contest the Uzumaki. Again, the two threw themselves into battle. The two threw a punch which hit the target, throwing them out of the circle tie. Both are disqualified, said the sensei. Both Naruto and Sasuke stood up, walked towards the others, shaking hands. Good fight, Sasuke, said the blonde. The same, I say, Naruto, replied the black-haired one. A few minutes later, the ninja approached the students with this. We finished the recognition of skills. In 2 days, we will talk about the results and work on improving their physical performance. But for now, they can withdraw, said the sensei before hearing a hi from the whole group. The blonde headed for the exit when he ran into a pearly woman next to the door. Ready? Asked the blonde. The blue-haired woman only bowing her head. Both walked down the street before reaching their goal. Here it is, said the blonde, pointing to the Ichiraku ramen. Both entered before ordering their food. The two began to talk. Hinata began to tell him everything about the clan, how her father treated her. Obviously, the blue-eyed one frowned, so the Baijid man passed. They both finished eating and left the stall. Thank you for inciting me here. Eat, said the Hyuga, blushing. Don't worry. It's a gift for having made an effort today, but wouldn't you like to accompany me a little more? I know a place where the sunset looks really beautiful, said the blue-eyed one with a smile, making the girl blush even more. They both walked for a while until they reached the Hokage monument. The blonde knelt to the side of the pearl. What are you doing in, Naruto? Asked the blue-haired woman nervously. Come, get on my back so we can get to the place I mentioned, replied the blue-eyed one. Don't worry, I'll walk, said the Hyuga. Come on, it's faster around here, insisted the Jinchuriki. Well, replied the Baijid woman while wrapping her arms around the blonde's neck. Weigh a lot, asked the blue-haired woman shyly. Don't worry, don't weigh, the Uzumaki contested with kind words. The blue-eyed man in the blink of an eye disappeared and appeared above the head of the Yondaime Hokage. How did we get there so fast? Asked the Hyuga. I am not what I appear to be, he replied as he lowered the blue-haired one. The blonde began to tell the Hyuga about his life since he met the Kyuubi in the orphanage until now, excluding everything that has to do with Sasuke and the Uchiha massacre. When the blue-eyed man finished speaking, he reined in a comfortable before being interrupted. Naruto. He asked me, yes. If you would like to be my friend. Silence, said the Baijid one, closing his eyes while waiting for the worst. Friends. That can't be done, replied the blonde. Pause, while small drops of water began to gush out of his pearly eyes. Because we already are finished, the blonde, engraving a smile on his face. The blue-haired girl turned to see the eyes of her new friend. Really? Asked the Hyuga to confirm, only to watch as the blonde nodded his head. Thank you, Naruto, mentioned the girl with tears running down her cheeks as she hugged the blue-eye. The hug lasted a few minutes until the boy took her shoulders. From now on, Hinata, I'll help you train to become stronger, okay? Said the blonde while smiling. Hi, contest the blue-haired while wiping his pearly eyes with his sleeves. Chapter 4. Naruto, wake up. It's time for you to get up, don't you think? Said a pair of voices. The first angelic and soft, noticeable from a woman, while the second was more serious with a bit of fun. The blonde slowly opened his eyes as they adapted to the light to notice 2 silhouettes standing in front of his bed. Good morning, Hinata, said the blue-eyed one, pausing. Good morning, Sasuke, he said as you turned to the Uchiha. Good morning, sleepyhead, replied the eyed one. She was dressed in blue ninja sandals, gray shinobi pants, a gray sweatshirt closed with the Hyuga sign on the left shoulder under a Mayan shirt. Ohio Naruto, replied the black-haired one, with his same white shorts, blue shirt, with short sleeves and high collar, with the Uchiha symbol on the back, and a pair of blue forearm sleeves. It seems that the emergency keys I gave you to my house are useful, murmurs the sleepy blue-eyed. We've been at the academy for 4 years, and on the last day Naruto decides to get up late, exclaimed the black-eyed he. It seems so, replied the blonde as he got out of bed. Heading towards the bathroom, the blue-eyed took off his shirt from his pajamas, showing his muscles marked just like his presumptuous abdomen, whispered the Uchiha, while the blonde smiled friendly at him. Now 5.44 foot tall. After the blonde dresses in black ninja sandals, black shinobi pants with bandages that reach the ankles, a black greeter with red stripes on the forearms, and the Uzumaki symbol on the right shoulder. Underneath, an orange shirt with the Senju symbol on the back on the right side, and an Uchiha symbol on the left. After the 3 students left the blonde's house, they arrived at the academy. They entered the classroom before a voice resounded. Good morning, children, said the brown-haired man, calling attention. Today, the exam will be held that will open the doors to the shinobi world, or he will simply deny them. This exam will be evaluated by Mizuka Sensei, and me, mentioned the brown-haired man, pausing. For this exam, 2 of the 3 jutsus that have been taught in the academy will be evaluated, the Henge no Jutsu and the Bunshin no Jutsu. The ninja finished explaining. Save me. Thought the blonde. You are right, puppy, said the fox, pausing. If I remember correctly, a year ago that you control your chakra almost perfectly, said the QB. I can't believe it took me 3 years to control the exercise of walking on a waterfall while performing the kanai exercise, said the blue-eyed one mentally to the fox. Uzumaki Naruto, said the brown-haired man before guiding the Jinchuriki to the room where the exam would take place. The blonde entered an almost empty room that only contained a table with 2 chairs, in which one was occupied by Mizuka Sensei and an empty one in which Iruka Sensei sat. The blue-eyed stood in the center of the room. Very well, Uzumaki Naruto. Now for the first part of the exam, you must create a bunshin, said the brown-haired man. Quickly, the blonde next to his hands while muttering bunshin no jutsu. At that moment, after a cloud of smoke, appeared a clone of the boy. Very well, Naruto, now you must perform a Henge no jutsu, said the sensei. The blue-eyed put his hands together again. Henge again. After a cloud of smoke appeared. After dispersing, an exact replica of Iruka was found. Very well, Naruto, graduated you ribbon, said the brown-haired one, while handing him the ninja ribbon. This shows that you are now a ninja. I hope you take care of him, said the ninja. Hi, replied the Uzumaki before leaving the room with his ninja in his hands. The blonde walked a series of corridors before leaving the academy before meeting his friend and his girlfriend. Flashback scene. The blonde and the pearlied man were walking at night after finishing their training. Perfect, Hinata. Your chakra control is the best I've ever seen. Plus, you have made a lot of progress in your physical condition. In a short time, we will be able to see your elemental chakra and start working on it, commented the blonde, cheering for the Hyuga. Naruto, I would like to talk to you, said the blue-haired woman while holding on to the boy's sweatshirt. The blonde was guided by the girl to a river that ran behind the hot springs. When he arrived, the Baijid one stopped in front of the blue-eyed one next to the river. Naruto, said the Hyuga, getting the attention of the blonde, it's been 2 years since I know your secrets, and you know mine. But before they could continue, the Uzumaki interrupted the Hyuga by placing his finger on her soft lip, making her stop. The blue-eyed one looked at the sky full of stars and a full moon that made the girl look more beautiful than she already was. The blonde bent down, putting one knee against the stones of the river. Quickly, the blonde changed her sweet and pale face like the moon to a red but equally sweet Hyuga. Hinata, since I have known her and told her my secret, I have realized that she is someone very precious to me. She has won my heart in these last 2 years, and I would like to ask her if she would grant me the honor of being my girlfriend, said the blonde to the blue-haired woman, who had tears coming from her eyes. The blue-eye stood up, showing his blue eyes, looking directly at her. Hi, pronounced the Hyuga, before swinging towards the blonde, giving him a hug. From now on, she will always be with you, murmured the Uzumaki before the pearl clung tighter to the blonde's chest. End of flashback. Naruto, said the new Kunoichi. How did Naruto go? Asked the Uchiha. Well, no problem, replied the blonde, raising his thumb. We have to celebrate. How about going to eat? suggesting the blue-eyed man. Hi, replied the black-haired one, while the black-haired man nodded his head. But he was quickly interrupted by the silver-haired ninja making Sasuke and Hinata step forward. Hello, Mizuki-sensei, said the blonde. Hello, Naruto. Sorry for the abandoned meddling, but I have to ask you a favor, said the ninja, pausing. Tonight, could you enter the Hokage Tower and bring me to a swimming house in the eastern forest? The huge scroll. The Hokage will take care of it, but I have something to do. This is a secret mission, so I need no one to see you take it, said the sensei. Why me? Asked Naruto curiously. I was watching you, Naruto, and you are the only one in this mission, said the ninja before leaving. After spending the day, the blonde went to the Hokage Tower. You know it's a puppy trap, don't you? A deep voice asked in the blonde head. Yes. But it never hurts a little fun, replied the blonde. The blonde arrived at the tower and entered, taking the huge scroll, but making sure someone saw him. After a few minutes, the blonde arrived at the indicated place, being followed a few meters away by Iruka-sensei. Naruto, why did you hurt the scroll? Asked the brown-haired one. Mizuki-sensei told me that he was commissioned and asked me to bring it to him, replied the blonde, innocent mind. So someone followed you. It doesn't matter. Soon you will both die, said the ninja with planted hair, swinging towards the two ninjas. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, said the blonde before more than 30 clones appeared. Quickly, all the clones ran towards Mizuki, beating him. The next day, the blonde went to the roof of the Hokage Tower where the cameraman was waiting for him. Are you ready? Asked the white-haired man. Hi, replied the blonde before they took his photo. After the photo, the blue-eyed went to the Ninja Academy where the Sandaime Hokage. Upon arrival, the blonde filled his registration sheet, where he placed the photo that was taken of him in the morning. While the Sandaime argued with the ninja on his right side, were interrupted when they heard the door open to show a small boy with a huge scarf and a lock of strong brown hair coming out of his hat. You're cantankerous, old man. Fight me. The boy shouts before starting to run at the old man. The title of Godame Hokage belongs to me, Konohamaru, he said, screaming again before tripping over his own scarf. The boy began to writhe in pain as it fell on his face. Are you okay? Honorable grandson, asked a ninja with dark glasses. What about that boy? The blonde asked mentally. The ninja turned to look at the blonde while squinting behind the glasses. That boy? It's the QB, is the most hateful outcast, thought the ninja with the dark glasses. You did something, didn't you? Said the boy while pointing accusations at the blonde. You tripped over yourself, replied the blue-eyed one angrily while taking the boy's scarf. You leave him alone. He is the honorable grandson of the honorable Sandaime Hokage, said the bespectacled ninja, reprimanding the blonde. The blue-eyed turned to look at the ninja and then stared at the boy. It seems that he has stopped knowing that I am the grandson of the Sandaime Hokage. He must be like the spectacle teacher and all the others. The boy thought before speaking. What's wrong? Hit me. Let's see if you dare. You are no match for the grandson of the Sandaime Hokage, said the boy, challenging the ninja. Quickly, the blonde spoke angrily, as if I care. More respect for your elders, he said to the blonde before hitting the boy to see how he falls to the ground. The blue-eyed man left the room after saying goodbye to the Hokage. While the blonde was walking down the street, he realized that he was being followed, and apparently, it was the same boy he had run into in the academy. The ninja quickly turned a corner, but when he turned around the boy could not find the blonde. Why are you following me? Asked the Uzumaki standing behind the boy, almost killing him from fright. The boy quickly calmed down. Very well done. I should have expected it from the boy about whom I have heard so many rumors, said the boy with an arrogant tone. From now on you will be my boss, said the boy. Okay, replied the blonde. No, you plan to deny? Asked the boy. No. I have always wanted a younger brother, answered the blue-eyed again. They both walked for a long time talking about the knowledge of a ninja and what it took to be one until they came to a vending machine near the forest. By the way, why are you obsessed with the Sandaime? Asked the Uzumaki. My grandfather named me Konohamaru after the name of the village. But when they see me, they only see the honorable grandson of the Sandaime Hokage. I hate that. That's why I want to be the Hokage, to be recognized, said the boy, with a face reflecting a bit of sadness. It's not that easy to achieve. Who would recognize a child like you? Said the blonde with cold words. What do you think? Replied the boy defensively. Before that you must defeat me, said the blue-eyed one, challenging the boy. At that moment they were interrupted by the bespectacled ninja while he coldly looked at the blonde. I found you. Now, honorable grandson, let's go home, said the ninja, coming down from the tree on which he was perched. No, I'm going to beat the old man right now and get the title of the Hokage. Shouted the boy. The Hokage is a title that is achieved when you understand the principles of morality, knowledge, loyalty, getting along with your family, and knowing 1,000 jutsus, said the bespectacled ninja. The ninja got close enough to take the boy's arm and pull him before speaking. The fastest way to become Hokage is to listen to me. Now let's go home, but still the boy kept resisting. Quickly the blonde shouted Kage Bunshin no Jutsu before 20 exact replicas of him appeared. I'm not Mizuki. This trick won't work on me, said the ninja before all the clones jumped towards him. Ebisu was about to kick a clone when suddenly, behind the appreciation, the blue-eyed gave him a quick blow on the back of his neck, causing him to faint. Great, said Kinomaru, almost jumping with excitement. I already want to have the title of Hokage, said the boy with excitement. It's not that easy, said the blonde, calling his attention. You are trying to get the title of the ninja that everyone will recognize throughout the village. I'm sure it will open many unpleasant things. You must be prepared, said the blonde with serious words. Ready for what? Asked the boy. To receive the title of the Hokage, replied the blue-eyed. From now on I will no longer be your apprentice, said the serious boy. From now on we are rivals, mentioned the boy with a smile on his face. For now, we cannot test our strength, but one day we will see who is worthy of the title of Hokage. Until then, fight for your dream. Kanomaru mentioned the blonde before turning around and leaving. The next day the blonde went back to the academy before noticing a small boy trying to hide behind a poorly set tent before showing himself. Fight with me, said the boy before running towards the blonde, throwing a punch that was quickly blocked. It seems that my advice not to drag your feet helped you, said the blue-eyed. Fight with me, said the brown-haired. I'm sorry, Kanomaru, but I must get to the explanatory meeting, mentioned the ninja before saying goodbye to the boy and continuing on his way. Naruto arrived at the classroom where he found Hinata. Ohio Hinata, said the blonde while raising his hand. Ohio Naruto, contested the Hyuga with a smile. The blonde continued to his seat, where the Uchiha was already. Ohio Sasuke greeted the blue-eyed. Ohio Naruto contested the black-eyed before the Uzumaki sat next to him. A few minutes later Ino and Sakura arrived at the same time. After having had a race to see who was the first to arrive, Sakura approached the blonde and the black-haired man. Before speaking, Sasuke-kun said, getting his attention, can I sit next to you? Asked the hairy. Wait. I'm going to be the one who sits next to Sasuke-kun, said Ino, while grabbing the arm of the kunoichi. The first one to arrive chooses, replied the green-eyed. I arrived before you, mentioned the blonde. Quickly the other girls in the room approached to discuss who had arrived first and who would have the privilege of sitting next to the two most handsome boys in the room. Calm down, girls. Don't fight, said the blonde, causing the kunoichis to calm down except for one. You don't tell me what to do, loser, said the hairy one with a cold and discriminating look. A few minutes before a brown ninja entered the room. As of today, they are official ninjas, but they are still new genins. From now on it will be more and more difficult. Everyone will be divided into groups of 3, where each group will fulfill missions under the supervision of a jounin teacher. I wonder who will be in Sasuke-kun's group, said the blonde kunoichi. I don't know, contest the hairy one. Of course I'm going to be the one left in her group, said inner Sakura. We have formed the groups in such a way that everyone has equivalent abilities, said the brown ninja before starting to name the members of the first 6 groups, which were made up of children of civilians. Team 7 is made up of Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke, said the sensei before being interrupted by a sensei. Why do I get to play with the failed Naruto? Asked the kunoichi before another ninja spoke. I wonder the same thing. Why, if the groups are evenly divided, are the 2 best students on the same team? Asked the boy Nara. That's simple. Since Sakura's physical abilities are so low that to balance the team, it was necessary to place 2 combat experts in it, replied the teacher. The entire classroom is almost laughing out loud because of the expression that Sakura had towards the blonde, even though she was the worst in the room. Team 8, Hyuga Hinata, Inazuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino, said the sensei, pausing before pronouncing Team 9, and then continuing with Team 10. Team 10, Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Choji. The ninja finished clarifying the teams. At the end of the meeting, the blonde walked towards the door before leaving with the blue hair. Before the hairy one got up, the Uchiha spoke. I would like to ask you something. What do you think of Naruto? Asked the black-eyed before turning to look into the eyes of the kunoichi. He believes a lot for being the second best in the class. He talks to me as the same, even though he doesn't know me. He is also very impertinent. He always makes jokes in bad taste since before he entered the academy. It's probably because he had a strange childhood. You know he doesn't have parents, right? Said the hairy woman pause. But quickly to the black-haired her eyes became even more serious with a coldness in her eyes. He's always doing the cool and friend of everyone. My parents wouldn't allow me to make friends with anyone. If you were alone, your parents wouldn't tell you how to be, so he's so annoying. Finished speaking, the kunoichi feeling proud of her words loneliness. You can't compare it to the level of attention your parents give you, said the black-haired. What's going on? Asked the green-eyed. You're a nuisance, said the Uchiha before getting up and leaving the girl alone. With the blonde. Naruto, said the pearl-eyed woman, calling the attention of a certain ninja. What a last thing that we were not on the same team, mentioned the blue-haired. I would have loved to be on the same team with you, Hinata, replied the blue-eyed. A few minutes later, they arrived at the main house of the Hyuga home of the blue-haired. See you tomorrow, Hinata, said the blonde. See you tomorrow, Naruto, replied the blue-eyed, before kissing the blue-eyed and entering his house. The next day, both the blonde, the hairy, and the black-eyed one gathered in the academy classroom full of the other students. As always, Sasuke and Naruto sat together before the kunoichi of their team arrived. Naruto, said the green-eyed one, to attract the attention of the blue-eyed. Sorry for having treated you badly yesterday, mentioned the girl. Don't worry, Sakura-kun, replied the blonde with a smile. Time began to pass, and the respective senseis of each team arrived, and then took them away. In the end, only Team 7 remained, which had already been waiting for almost 2 hours. How much longer will our sensei wait for us? Asked the kunoichi rhetorically. I wonder the same thing, said the blue-eyed man lying on a table, while the black-eyed man only sighed next to Naruto. At that moment, the door was moved, and when they turned around, the three genin could see a ninja with a chunin vest, gray hair that defied gravity, with his ninja protector covering his right eye. He's a little late, said the blue-eyed one before yawning and standing up. My first impression of you is, said the gray-haired man, pausing. Good. After the sensei's arrival, the four ninjas climbed to the roof before the gray-haired man began. Why don't we introduce ourselves first? Said the ninja. Introduction? What should we say? Asked the hairy one. What do you like, what you don't, your dreams and hobbies, something like that. The jounin finished speaking. What do you think if you start, sensei? Asked the Uzumaki before the gray-haired man introduced himself. Me. I'm Hitaki Kakashi. I have no intention of telling my likes and hates about my dreams. I have a lot of hobbies, said the ninja. Apparently the only thing we know about him is his name, said the green-eyed before the blue-eyed man nodded his head. Now it's his turn. You first, said the black-eyed one, nodding to the blonde. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like bowls of ramen and Hyuga Hinata. I hate the 3 minutes I have to wait after putting the water on and the ones that hurt my friends. My hobby is to make jokes, and my dream is to become the greatest of the Hokages by making all the villagers recognize me, said the blonde before the kunoichi began. I'm Haruno Sakura. I like him. Well, the person I like is, my hobby is, and my dream is, said the hairy one, constantly looking at Uchiha. And what do you hate? Asked the jounin. Several things, replied the green-eyed one, without details before the black-haired man started. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There are many things I hate, and not many that I like. Besides, I have an ambition that I have no intention of leaving as a dream, the resurgence of my clan, and making a person explain and pay for his actions, said the black-eyed one coldly in his last words. Okay, you three have very different personalities. I like it. Tomorrow we will start a mission, said the gray-haired. What kind of mission, sensei? Asked the kunoichi. First, let's do something that the four of us can do. Survival training, finished the ninja. Why are we going to do training when it comes to a mission? We already had enough training at the academy, said the green-eyed. This is not normal training, mentioned the jounin. What kind of training will it be? Asked the blue-eyed. Suddenly the older ninja started laughing a little sinister. Is there anything funny, sensei? Asked the girl. Well, if I say this, the three of you are going to be very surprised, he said, pausing. Of the 27 graduates, only 9 will become real genins. The other 18 will be sent back to the academy, which means that this test will be very hard with a 66% failure rate, said the red-haired one, pausing again to observe the surprised faces of his students. You see, the three of you are surprised. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to choose if you will pass or fail in the training ground. Bring your ninja equipment, and we will see you at 5 a.m. Then the meeting is over. By the way, don't have breakfast, you will regret it if you do, said the sensei before disappearing into a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the three stood up before they went home, except for the blonde, who went to his daily training. Chapter 5. The next day, the blonde was at the training camp about 15 minutes ahead of schedule, but before arriving, he had had an apple for breakfast out of pure prevention. In that short time, the blue-eyed began to check the area where the survival training would take place. A few minutes after the ninja finished checking the area, his companions arrived. "Ohio, Sasuke." Sakurakin greeted the blonde while turning around, raised his hand as a gesture of greeting. "Ohio, Naruto," said the black-haired man, without tiredness. "Ohio?" Naruto replied, the hairy one between yawns. After meeting, the time began to pass. An hour after the agreed time, while the silence was the company of the three ninjas, it was cut off by a growl from the hairy one. She quickly got up with a noticeable blush of embarrassment. "You should eat," Sakura advised the blue-eyed to the green-eyed. "No." "Kakashi-sensei said not to have breakfast," replied the kunoichi, before hearing a growl coming from the black-eyed. "Apparently you are the same." Sasuke mentioned the Uzumaki. "Shut up," said the Uchiha with embarrassment. It was another hour before they heard a voice. "Good morning, guys," said calmly the gray-haired. "You are late," roared the hairy one angrily. "A black cat crossed my path." "So," said the ninja, pausing before clearing his throat and continuing, "Let's start." The ninja went to a log where to place a clock alarm set at 12, mentioned the Jounin, while taking a couple of bells. "Today's goal is to remove one of these bells. Whoever won't have lunch, I'll tie them there and have lunch in front of you," said the gray-haired man, pointing to 3 logs nailed in an upright position. "So that's why he told us," murmured the Uchiha. "But why are there only 2 bells?" asked the hairy one before the Jounin smiled. "If there are only 2, at least one must stay tied to the trunk. That person will fail since he has not been able to overcome the mission," said the ninja, before turning his face more serious. "That person will return to the academy. It can be 1, or the 3 can use their shurikens. They cannot be able to take the bells unless they have the intention of killing." the Jounin finished. "But that's quite dangerous, Kakashi-sensei," said the kunoichi. "In society, those who have less skills tend to complain more," said the ninja, pausing. "We'll start when he says, 'Ready, go,'" said the gray-haired man. "Ready, now," said the Jounin. The 3 genin disappeared from sight before hiding among the trees and bushes. A couple of minutes passed since the last instruction of the ninja. The basic thing for a ninja is to hide his presence and hide. Well, they are all perfectly hidden, thought the ninja before he was taken out of his thoughts by a couple of kanais who headed towards him. Quickly stopped them by one of his hands without losing his calm posture. "You are very good, Kakashi-sensei," said the blonde, as he came out of the bushes with his hands in his pockets as he walked towards the Jounin. "What an idiot," thought a black-haired man hidden among the trees. "Hey, don't you think you're something strange compared to the others?" said the Jounin. "It may be," answered a voice behind him. When he realized the turnaround, there was a clone exactly like the blonde with a bell in his hand still tied to the waist of the gray-haired. In a blink of an eye, the Jounin jumped back before the clone disappeared in a cloud of smoke. "I didn't notice his presence," thought the gray-haired with a drop sliding down the side of his eye. The Jounin regained his tranquility again before speaking. "The number 1 technique a ninja should know, taijutsu. I'll teach you that first," mentioned the ninja, taking out an orange book. "Kakashi-sensei, why do I take out a book?" asked the blue-eyed innocently. "Well, I'm curious to know how the story will continue." "Don't worry, it would be the same if I wasn't reading," replied the ninja confidently. "It's not good to underestimate a book because of its cover," said the blonde one. The blue-eyed man began to sway from side to side as he took 3 steps before disappearing due to a burst of speed. The Jounin was still reading his book when he felt a small air in his back. When he turned, he found nothing, and apparently the blue-eyed had hidden. "What? Where's Naruto?" the black-haired man wondered mentally before the blonde genin appeared next to him. "Ohio, Sasuke," the blue-eyed man said silently. "What was that?" asked the black-eyed man in shock. "Apparently he doesn't care much about me, so I moved away," said the Uzumaki. "I don't mean that," said the Uchiha. "I'll tell you later," the ninja explained before walking away so as not to jeopardize the black-eyed one's location. A few meters after the blue-eyed one moves away, the Uchiha jumps through the trees to meet the Jounin. The black-haired man takes out a few shurikens and kunais from his tool bag. I got you, he muttered before throwing the shurikens and kunais. Each one hit the ninja, causing him to fall by the force of the impact. But there was quickly a cloud of smoke before a Kawarami no Jutsu, body replacement, trunk appeared, muttered the black-eyed. The ninja began to jump from tree to hide his location. In the meantime, the kunoichi had run away after seeing the kunais and shurikens have hit the jounin and come out unharmed through the kawarami. Sasuke, where have you gone? The hairy woman wondered mentally. The girl stopped when she saw the gray-haired man standing in front of her reading his orange book. Sakura, behind you, said a manly voice. When she turned around, she could notice her master with the rat hand seal, before falling into a jinjutsu. What? Where am I? What happened to Kakashi-sensei? The green-eyed woman began to wonder with a lot of confusion. Sakura, said a voice very recognizable to her. Sasuke-kun? Said the girl, but when she turned around she ran into a Sasuke full of shuriken and kunais that were piercing her body while her blood dripped down the clothes stained with a lot of blood. Sakura. Help me, said the dying black-eyed. Quickly the kunoichi froze in fear as a couple of tears came out of her eyes before screaming to the sky and becoming unconscious. Maybe it happened to me. But I should have realized that whether or not it was real, said the jounin on top of a tree observing the girl's behavior. With Sasuke. That scream must have been Sakura's. Thought the Uchiha knowledge of ninja techniques too. Jinjutsu. Sakura has fallen into a trap easily, said the gray-haired man. Jinjutsu. A hallucinogenic technical type that controls the mind. I'm not surprised that Sakura has fallen so easily into jutsu. Thought the black-haired, but I'm not the same as them. I'm not weak, but I'm not going to hide my potential either, said the ninja seriously. Why don't you say it after taking a bell? Sasuke-kun asked the jounin. What did he mean by not intending to hide his potential? Could it be that one of the previous two are hiding it? Is that Naruto? The ninja wondered mentally. The jounin took a couple of steps before the Uchiha turned around. The black-eyed quickly threw a couple of kunais towards the jounin. It's useless that you use normal attack, mentioned the gray-haired man, jumping to one side. The genin threw a third kunai, cutting a rope, causing more kunais and shurikens to go out to the jounin from another direction. Again the gray-haired jumped before Loans, but this time the black-eyed appeared behind him with a burst of speed. The Uchiha threw a kick towards the jounin while he blocked it using an arm reinforced by the second. Sasuke gave a punch that was also stopped by the hand of the gray-haired. Quickly the Uchiha gave a second kick aimed at the jounin's head. Kakashi used his arm to stop the second kick of the black-eyed. The black-haired man changed his facial expression from seriousness to a confident smile before he gained momentum. He stretched out his arm to reach for the bells. Sasuke touched him for a moment, feeling the cold metal with a spherical structure that symbolized victory. But he was quickly separated after Le Jounin jumped backwards, regaining distance. The Uchiha squatted down, lessening the impact of the fall. What a boy. I don't have time to read Doing It in Paradise, thought the gray-haired man. With Sakura. The hairy one woke up in the middle of the forest, a little confused. What happened? I remember I saw Sasuke-kun injured and the only thing I did was faint, thought the kunoichi with concern before standing up while shouting, Sasuke-kun, don't die or leave me. Where are you? With Sasuke. Well, I must admit that you are different from those two, said the older ninja. The Uchiha began to perform a series of hand stamps. Katan, Gakku no Jutsu, said the blonde, while taking a breath. What? That's not a technique that a genin can do. He doesn't have enough chakra, thought the jounin. At the moment the black-eyed placed a hand in his mouth, launching a big call towards the location of the ninja with gray hair. The attack lasted a few seconds before it ended due to the lack of air in the lungs of the black-haired. When the fire dispersed, the Uchiha found no trace of a body. He is gone. Where is he? Up. Behind. The boy thought quickly. Down, said a voice before a hand came out of the ground, grabbing the black-eyed ankle. Doton Shinjizanshu no Jutsu. Earth element. Suicidal decapitation, said the jounin, dragging the black-haired man to the ground, causing him to scream. The gray-haired ninja squatted in front of the Uchiha's head, which was sticking out of the ground. This is the third knowledge of a ninja, ninjutsu. He mentioned, pausing. How are you? You can't move, right? It seems that your talent is exceptional, said the ninja. The Uchiha made a sound of contempt. But they say that the protruding stakes must be nailed well to the ground. mentioned the gray-haired man as he took out his book again, continuing with the reading and walking away. Are we so different? The ninja wondered a few minutes after the older ninja left. At that moment, a sound was heard in the bushes before the kunoichi appeared running. She stopped when she saw only the head of the Blackyad. The greeneed was about to faint, but she made the best effort not to do it. Sakura mentioned the black-haired one who looked headless when she heard a head without a body. Now it is a head without a body, thought the hairy one, letting out a cry to the sky and falling unconscious again. But what's wrong with him? Asked the Blackyad with a confused face. When she woke up, the kunoichi swung towards Uchiha, who was next to her. Sasuke-kun, are you okay? Asked the greeneed. Hey, get out of the way, said the Blackyad one, making an attempt to move away from the girl. After letting go of the hairy one, the ninja sat up. It's not until noon. I'm leaving. Sasuke-kun, are you still going for the bell? Asked the worried girl. I have been able to touch it for a while. This time I will get it, explained the black-haired. Really? You are surprising, Sasuke-kun mentioned the kunoichi with a little nervousness. I have not been able to approach the professor. At this rate, they are going to separate me from Sasuke-kun, said inner Sakura. Since we have little time left, why don't we try harder next time and leave it for now? Asked the greeneed, trying to change the Uchiha's way of thinking. But the only thing she got was a serious and cold look towards her, causing her a little sadness. It seems that you don't understand, Sakura. I don't think she is qualified to be a ninja, mentioned the ninja with serious words, making the girl immobile because of the words that the Blackyad man gave her. This is not a game. In a real mission, we cannot ask the opponent to let us live so that we can face him with more strength next time. This is real, Sakura mentioned the ninja before hearing the sound that announced the end of the test. TKS. I wasted my time talking, muttered the Uchiha before heading towards the meeting point. When they arrived at the meeting point, they found the blonde tied to one of the three trunks. It seems that they caught you, Naruto, said the Uchiha with a drop of sweat sliding down his cheek. Flashback scene. The blonde was standing in the chasm of a tree looking at the landscape when he ran into a surprise. Quickly, the blue-eyed made a few jumps between the trees before reaching a strange stone where there were a couple of lunch boxes. Bento. Today is my lucky day, murmured the Uzumaki. I don't think so, contest the jounin on the blonde's back. It was a joke, said the blue-eyed before the older ninja took it and tied it to a log. End of flashback. It doesn't matter how you got into this trouble, Naruto, said the black-haired man as he sat next to the tied ninja, followed by Sakura, who sat on the opposite side. Behind a cloud of smoke, the jounin appeared before a couple of stomachs began to growl from lack of food. Your stomachs are roaring, huh? By the way, about the results of this training. Well, none of you need to go back to the ninja academy, said the ninja. What? But the only thing I've done is faint. Is that good? Asked the hairy one ironically. The Uchiha smiling when he heard the jounin's words. But the blonde changed his facial expression to a serious one. It means that the three of you, said the girl with excitement. Yes. The three of you should stop being ninjas, mentioned the ninja with serious words, making the Blackyad and the hairy one immediately lose their happiness, turning their faces serious and worried. Stop being ninjas? Asked the blue-eyed one seriously. It's because you three, or at least two critics who don't deserve to be ninjas, explained the gray-haired one. Upon hearing this, the black-haired one ran towards the older ninja, trying to do some kind of damage. Sasuke-kun, said the hairy one when she saw the Uchiha on the ground with the jounin sitting on top of him, bending his arm and stepping on his head. Do you see him? They're only critical, said the ninja. Don't crush a Sasuke-kun. The kunoichi shouts angrily. Do you really think that being a ninja is an easy thing? Said the Blackyad, changing his expression to one of disgust. Why do you think we are training by dividing them into teams? Said the ninja. What do you mean? Asked the greeneed. In other words, none of you understand the mission of this test. The mission committed determines whether you pass or fail, he explained in gray hair. We have been asking what it was, said the girl, trying to excuse herself. God, are they idiots or what? Don't you understand why everyone is on a team? Then I'll tell you, teamwork, finished the ninja. Does it mean that we cooperate with each other? Asked the greeneed one, surprised as well as the Blackyad. That's right. But it's too late, even if they have realized now. If the three of them had come at the same time, maybe they would have been able to touch a bell. But this is very wrong, said the jounin. So why do we have to work as a team if there are only two bells? If three people work hard to get them, one of them would have to stay out. Then there would be a team conflict instead of work, said the hairy one. Of course, this test has to put them against each other. In this situation, we can select those who have priority to teamwork than to themselves. This was the purpose, but the three of them have been pathetic, said the ninja, pausing. Sakura, you have cared more about Sasuke than Naruto. Besides that, you have not been able to achieve anything other than fainting, Naruto. The only thing you have done is stand in front of me and then disappear, and your Sasuke has assumed that at least one of those two were going to get in your way, and you have done it all alone. The missions are done in a group. It is true that ninjas need well-developed individual skills, but teamwork is much more important. An individual action that interrupts teamwork will result in danger or even death of their companions. For example, said the Jounin, taking out a kunai and putting it on the black-haired man's neck, I could offer Sasuke's life for Naruto's. Do you understand? Asked the gray-haired one. While putting away his kunai after capturing a hostage, they would face a difficult decision, and maybe someone would die. On any mission, they would put their life in danger, said the Jounin, getting up from the black-haired man. Look at this, said the ninja as he made his way to a strange stone, the numerous names engraved on this stone. All these names are praised as the heroes of this village, but they are not normal heroes. These are those who went to Kia. They are those who died in combat, mentioned the gray-haired man, pausing. This is a cenotaph. The names of my friends are engraved here too, explained the ninja with a muffled voice. I will give you another chance. However, the fight for the bell will be much more difficult after lunch. Eat lunch only if you are up to the challenge. But do not let Naruto eat. This punishment is for breaking the rules and trying to eat lunch early ahead of time. If someone feeds him, he will be suspended. Here I am the one, I read it is clear to you? When he finishes speaking, the Jounin disappears in a cloud of smoke. What Kakashi-sensei said was very hard, commented the blonde Naruto. Do you want to? Said the Uchiha, offering his bento to the Uzumaki. Don't worry, Sasuke, before you arrive. I had breakfast, so you better come to recover your energy, replied the blue-eyed one. But it's not correct, commented the kunoichi. Naruto is right. We must support each other as a team, said the black-haired one. Thank you guys, said the ninja, smiling before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. A few meters from them, the blonde appeared, walking towards his team. How did he let you go? Asked the green-eyed one. I was never tied up. It was a clone, the blonde contested with a small smile between his teeth, and then approached and ate some of the bento of the hairy one. Suddenly, they were interrupted by the Jounin that appeared in front of them. You three, you have inflicted the rules, said the ninja. You are right. We have done it, replied the Uzumaki with a smile, reaching for his pocket and then taking out a couple of bells. But what? Said the confused, gray-haired man, before lowering his eyes and seeing some bells still tied around his waist. Are they fake? Asked the Jounin, addressing the bells that the blonde had in his hand. No, Kakashi-sensei, these are the real ones. When he said this, a cloud of smoke appeared next to the older ninja, and then noticed that the pair of bells had transformed into two clones identical to the blue-eyed one. Since when? Asked the surprised Jounin. Since you took out your book, I took the opportunity to go to you and exchange them for a couple of clones, replied the blonde, surprising the three ninjas who were present. Take Sasuke, said the blue-eyed before throwing one of the bells at him. Seeing this, the kunoichi was sad to see that she would be separated from the Uchiha Sakurakin, said the blonde ninja, calling the attention of the hairy one before throwing the second bell. I don't mind going back to the academy one more year if I can make our team become official Genin, said the blue-eyed man, causing the gray-haired man's eyebrow to rise. Naruto, you should be the one to pass. Your consequence the bells, said the girl. Apparently Sakura will keep the bell, since I don't think Naruto will accept it, so I have no other choice. Approved, mentioned the Jounin. Approved, why? Asked the green-eyed. You three are the first. The people I have examined previously were fools who only listened to what was said to them. Ninjas must think beyond the normal. In the ninja world, those who break the rules are called scum. But those who do not take care of their friends are worse than scum, said the ninja, pausing. Your training ends here. All approved. Team 7 starting to perform missions from tomorrow, said the Jounin, congratulating them for passing their evaluation. After the green-eyed woman left, the Uchiha spoke. Now tell me, how exactly do you follow the bells, or rather, how did you move at that speed? The black-eyed one asked anxiously. The blonde began to tell her everything that had happened before they met, excluding his eyes, his offspring, and his mate. Time passed, and before they knew it, you could notice the moon shining accompanied by a starry sky. I see. So you're not what you prove yourself to be, said the black-haired man, pausing. The speed you've used in survival training against Kakashi Sensei has been all? Asked the Uchiha. The blue-eyed shook his head before speaking. I use a gravity seal almost all the time, making my body heavier. To develop my speed and strength, explained the Uzumaki. Do you think you can teach me how to make the seal? Asked the Uchiha. Of course, but for the first 6 months you should only use it in training. Because if you use it in a real battle, you may not be able to remove it, and it would cost you your life, mentioned the blonde before pausing. For now, we are only a test, said the blue-eyed. Test? Asked the black-eyed. Yes, I want to know how much weight you can carry now, mentioned the blonde. The blue-eyed man only made a hand stamp before touching the Uchiha, which suddenly felt heavier. The black-haired man jumped a couple of times before speaking. Interesting. But apparently, it's not the same weight you use, right? Said the black-eyed. No, it's less. Do you want to try with the weight I use? Asked the Uzumaki. Before the Uchiha nodded his head. Here it goes, mentioned the blonde before making a stamp again and touching the shoulder of the black-eyed. The Uchiha fell to the ground before standing up with difficulty. Naruto, how much weight do I carry with the seal? Asked the black-haired man as a few drops of sweat began to emerge. About 52 kilograms, replied the blue-eyed one calmly before removing the seal from the Uchiha. The next day, here Sasuke. I'm at point B, here Sakura. I'm at point C, here Naruto. I'm at point A, said each of the Genin through an assault radius. It's okay, Unit 7? The target has moved. The Jounin directing the mission. The Genin began to move behind the target until it entered into a bush. What's the distance from the target? Asked the gray-haired. Here Naruto. 5 meters. I'm ready, commented the ninja. Just like me, mentioned the black-eyed. Ready, assured the hairy. Okay, now? Indicated the older ninja. Before the three jumped towards the target. I got it, confirmed the blue-eyed. Before the cat scratched him a couple of times, but the Uzumaki directed his killer instinct, causing the cat to calm down with fear. Does it have a noose in its right ear? Is this our goal, Tora? Asked the Jounin. It's our goal, for sure. The Uchiha contest. Well, Operation Capture Tora, the lost pet, complete, the ninja states before they returned to Hokage Tower. Oh, my adorable Tora-chan, I was very worried about you, said Lady Feudad of the Land of Fire, better known as Madame Shijimi, as she almost suffocated the feline with her hugs. I understand why the cat was running away, the Kunoichi thought. So, the next mission of Kakashi's group is babysit Yojo-sama's son, shop in the next village, help get potatoes, and the Hokage was interrupted before finishing. Excuse Hokage-sama, but couldn't you assign us a crank mission? Asked the Uzumaki. That still can't be, Naruto. They are still rookie ninjas, and these missions are so that your team can gain experience, Iruka replied. Why not? I'll give them a crank mission. It consists of escorting a person, mentioned the Sande. You can come in, said the Hokage, raising his voice, as he turned around and looked at the door that was opened by an old man with glasses, a dark green shirt, a pair of trousers, a pair of black sandals, and a rope tied in the front, while drinking a bottle of sake. What? A group of brats, said the civilian, pausing to drink another drink of sake. I am the expert builder of the bridge, Tazuna. Once I have bequeathed to my country, you must protect my life with yours until I complete the bridge, he explained in old, very good equipment. We will see you in an hour at the entrance of the village. Take enough provisions. Only the necessary ones. Understood? Said the Jounin before receiving a hi from the Genins before leaving the room. Are you sure of this, Hokage-sama? Asked the brown-haired one after Team 7 left. Of course, Iruka. They are ready for a crank mission, Sandame replied confidently.